If you've ever cheered for the market to close green, like someone cheers on a horse running down the final stretch of a race, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Had some pretty good calls yesterday on the show. We're hoping for some more today. Going to turn it over to the group. Some of the good calls yesterday include the market closing green, don't chase Ondas when it's up 20%, and Lions call to sell the rally here because if you held overnight, you have sad face here today. So leaning on the group yet again for some more navigation through this volatility. There is no better place to be than Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, and that's made from the group. Pat yourself on the back. Folks, it is in fact March 3rd. In fact, it's Tuesday, March 3rd. We've got some more news to break down. It's a T3 Tuesday, so we're going to have another T3 guest for you here today. We're also going to have Anne-Marie here today, so I'm sure we'll be able to set up some tactical options trades with her. I'm going to break down all of the movers. We're going to cover some of the news, and of course, we're going to have fun and bring levity to something that is very serious otherwise. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, Tuesday, the March 3rd edition for 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful rest of your Monday. We've made it here to Tuesday. We've got some more stuff to trade, and we have a Control-C from yesterday and a Control-V onto today as the futures are under pressure here. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here. Crispy Biscuit is first. That means, folks, that we are going to have a crispy day. Crispy Biscuit is first. Crispy day incoming. It's good to see you, my man. Welcome back. Brian, good morning. It's good to see you. If you've ever held a giant bag all day and been bailed out overnight, hey, I like that one, actually. You know what? We might actually, Brian, we might screenshot that and do an honorary if you've ever tomorrow, because that one's quite good. Good morning. Welcome back. Marty, good morning. Welcome back. Low energy, but go energy. I appreciate the play on words there, but we're going to help you boost that energy here today. Maybe get some coffee, maybe do some stretching, some breathing exercises. Remember, breathe in for 4 seconds through your nose and then out through your nose for 6 seconds. Do that for 2 minutes. Tell me how you feel afterward. Marty, it's good to see you. Zach, good morning. Welcome back. Zach saying, back after a short illness. I'm still recovering, but all is much better now. Zach, we are happy that you are back. We are happy that it appears that you have kicked your illness. Good luck finalizing that or finishing it off here. It's great to have you back. I hope you're feeling better, buddy. Good morning or good afternoon, I think, is where you're at. Big Dave, good morning. Oil is trending upward this morning, indeed. And in fact, oil is going to be in play here, I think, a lot over the next couple of months, particularly as it pertains to these rate cuts. Remember, the inflation narrative, the scary hyperinflation narrative that, of course, never showed up. A lot of that is partly because oil was kept lower. Now we're seeing oil actually trade up. How long is it going to be elevated is in fact the question. That's going to play into some of those other inflation metrics. So we have a big control knob, if you will, to watch on a daily basis. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. Peter, good morning. Welcome back. Look, I know yesterday had a lot of red early, but again, just shouting out the group here. A lot of good calls made yesterday. A lot of good calls yesterday. I've actually finished in the green yesterday pretty healthily, and I'm hoping for that again here today. Got some more news stories that you may enjoy. We'll see. Jim, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you as always. Astro Kev, good morning. Nice to see you as always. We can take a look at UNG. Let me know if you're trading that. Marty says, Blood Moon was eclipsed by Texas clouds. Had my camera ready and nothing. Isn't that the worst? At least back, what was it, Eddington? Way back in the day when they were trying to prove general relativity, at least you didn't have an expedition planned halfway around the world only to be spoiled by poor weather and cloud cover. At least you were just in your backyard. At least I assume so. Anyway, if you ever do get those really awesome pictures of the moon or anything in the sky, I am a space and science nerd to the max. Please email them to me. One of my buddies caught one of the most spectacular solar eclipse pictures the last time we had one. Corey, good morning. Welcome back. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Welcome back. Yes, That Girl, good morning. Welcome back. Love the energy. Yes, That Girl. Let's go. We need more of that. We need more of that. Whis, good morning, welcome back. Yeah, so fine, good morning, welcome back. Azrar, it's good to see you as always. Producers locked in, making sure that the show must go on. Couldn't do it without you, producer. Richard Judge, good morning, welcome back. Neville, good morning. Empyrean, good morning. It's good to see you as always. One Good Husband. There you go. What a handle. Good morning. Welcome back there. Brian said the Fed watch now leaning towards steady rates through July. I think that the last time we took a look at that, it started to really shift in June. And when I actually took a look at that earlier, yeah, still 64%. I think that was down in the 40s or 50s when it first started, maybe even the 30s, although I can't remember. We are up to the 60% there. Again, oil is going to play into that. The length of this conflict is going to be important for that oil price. Ari Stock Market, good morning. Day Trader, good morning. C. John, good morning. Day Trader, that is such wishful thinking. It's hilarious. Nonetheless, good morning. Welcome back. Kayla, good morning. Durkis, good morning. AC, good morning. Tyler, good morning. Cam, good morning. Marionette. Hey, you know what? At least you have a sense of humor about it, too. At least you have a sense of humor about it, too. Welcome back, boss. It's good to see you. Lost Penny, good morning. Bernhard, good morning. Just passing through, good morning. Billy is locked in, already feeding you the information for some of those movers, even when I'm out here flapping my gums about the news. Absolutely awesome. JJ, good morning. Von Rivera, good morning. Rooster, good morning. Ed, good morning. Emissar, excuse me, good morning. Robot to Trade, good morning. Kelly, Kelly or two. Excuse me. I keep screwing that up. I'm sorry, Kelly. Good morning. Up 30. Good morning. Dara. Good morning. Smita. Good morning. Lambo Rolls. Good morning. And Izzy. Hey, buddy. Right back at you, Slick. It's good to see you. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, futures under pressure again ahead of Tuesday's open here. S&P futures down 1.48%, Dow futures down 1.45%, and the NASDAQ leading the way lower at minus 1.91%. Let's take a look at some cues from the last session here. Consumer staples, discretionary, and healthcare stocks led losses on Monday as most S&P 500 sectors declined, though energy and industrials rose, and the market closed green. Sorry, just needed to do a little victory lap there. Iranian state media reported that Tehran has closed the Strait of Hormuz and warned it would fire on any vessel attempting to pass. Also, Israel's IDF said it carried out simultaneous targeted strikes on military targets in Tehran and Beirut, including a strike on the Iranian state broadcaster. According to PreMarket, traders are heavily leaning towards a down open on Tuesday, with the market pricing the S&P 500 to open lower at 93%. And indeed, it sure looks like that's what's going to happen here versus 7% up. That's going to be a losing bet. Don't take it. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 3.09%, and the 2-year bond, and actually that's incorrect, that was 4.09. We're back above 4. And the 2-year bond was at 3.54%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections are showing a 97.3% likelihood of the Federal Reserve leaving the current rates unchanged for March. Now, as Brian said in the open, if we look ahead, it is an 87.3% for April, and it is a 64.3% for June. Now, we have several stocks in focus here for you today. The first one is going to be Credo Technology Group, and the ticker on this one is CRDO. It declined 12.1% despite reporting better than expected earnings for the third quarter. Credo's Q3 adjusted EPS was 107. That beat the 95-cent estimate, and sales came in at $407.012 million. That beat the estimate of 400.232, so it beat by about 7 million on the sales. Credo Group sees Q4 sales at 425 to 435 million. That was versus the estimate of 422.61 million. The next stock on our list is going to be Asana, and the ticker on this is ASAN. It rose 3.29% after posting upbeat earnings for the fourth quarter after the closing bell on Monday. Asana saw Q1 adjusted EPS of 7 to 8 cents. That was versus the 7-cent estimate, and it sees sales of 202.5 to 204.5 million. That was versus the 204 million estimate. Asana also sees full year 27 adjusted EPS of 36 to 37 cents. That's versus a 36-cent estimate. And it sees sales of 850 to 858 million. That was versus the 856.961 million. So it looks like that estimate is in line there. The next stock on our list is going to be Coherent, and the ticker on this one is COHR. It dropped 5.32% despite signaling a strategic agreement with NVIDIA, which includes a direct equity investment and a multi-billion dollar purchase commitments. The next stock on our list is our egg guy. This is our favorite egg guy. This is Cal-Maine Foods, and the ticker on this is CALM, C-A-L-M, and it was up 0.25% after it announced the acquisition of Creighton Brothers, LLC. The last stock on our list is going to be CrowdStrike. And the ticker on this one is CRWD. It dropped 2.08% as analysts expect it to report earnings of $1.10 per share on revenue of $1.3 billion after the closing bell today. All right, let's take a look at the SPY chart and see where we are at. So we talked yesterday, same thing we're going to talk about here today. First of all, we were still under the 50 and the 20-day moving average. Yesterday in the pre-market, we had gapped down beneath the 100. Of course, the market got bought back and the SPY actually finished in the green by 0.06%. Now today, we have a similar but slightly worse pre-market setup here. We are lower beneath the 100-day, but we're actually down by a little bit more today. I believe when we signed on yesterday, we were down 1.2%, and that basically got bought back to unchanged throughout the course of the day. However, today, we're actually down currently 1.5%, so we're down even more. And in cases like this, at least in my experience, the second bounce probably not as strong as the first. So, well, I thought there was a pretty good opportunity for us to close green yesterday, and indeed we did by the slimmest of margins. I feel less likely about that here today. Nonetheless, we are up off the pre-market lows here, and we're going to be watching the open, how some of these names trade throughout the course of the day, and we are going to be tactical. Now, one of the key things that I want to bring here today, if you are worried about the volatility, or if you feel like you're unsure about what you're trying to do or what the stocks that you're trying to trade are going to do, there is absolutely no shame in sitting on your hands and protecting your capital. Furthermore, if you find yourself sitting around, one of the other things that you can do is do some due diligence on the stocks that you would like. We talked yesterday about, is this tech rollover going to continue? And I asked the group, at what level do you want some of these good companies, especially the AI companies? If these stocks trade down, where is the buy spot? And again, if you find yourself sitting on your hands, there is no problem taking a look at charts, reviewing your possible entries and your reasons for wanting to own some of that stuff long term. Now, as far as key levels go here today, the first one is, in fact, going to be the 100-day moving average. I have that at 681.42 here. If we can recapture that, that would be a really good start. If we can go back to green, that would also be awesome. That value is going to be 686.38. Again, I'm not sure that we get there. And then just a quick peek, 686.46 is your 20-day moving average, and 688 even is your 50-day moving average. We would need a pretty substantial piece of news, I think, to make it up to those two levels. Now, let's take a look at some insights from analysts here. Professor Jeremy Siegel views the current U.S. stock market not as a market in distress, but rather one undergoing a healthy rotation. Again, think back to the tech stocks, which were already moving in this direction prior to this conflict with Iran. While equities softened late in February, he notes that 8 of 9 U.S.-style boxes remain positive year to date. Siegel anticipates a shift in leadership, suggesting mega cap AI leaders might deliver 0 to 10% returns this year, while the rest of the market could advance 10 to 15%. He specifically points out that mid-cap, small-cap, and value sectors are beginning to participate in this broadening trend, which I think is good and healthy for all of us, frankly. Regarding the broader economy, Siegel dismisses fears of AI-driven job destruction, labeling the technology as a productivity accelerator rather than the apocalypse. Now, remember, SaaSpocalypse has been thrown around the news, and I guess the financial Twitter boards and things like StockTwits and all of that. So those software as a service companies really getting hit. Siegel here saying, maybe slow down a little bit. He expects the future to be one of higher output, higher real incomes, and greater abundance. With real GDP expanding near 3%, he argues this pace implies rising productivity since labor force growth has slowed. Furthermore, he observes easing inflation, noting that housing, the largest CPI component, is now tracking at or below the Federal Reserve's target pace. As far as the economic data here today, New York Fed President John Williams delivers remarks at 9:55 in the morning. Kansas City Fed President Jeff Schmid speaks at 10:10, and Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari participates in an interview at 11:45. All right. Update here on the big piece of news that's roiling markets. President Trump touted the strength of U.S. munitions stockpiles on Tuesday, declaring them unlimited at medium and upper medium grades. By the way, as an aside, that should be positive for defense stocks, just saying, while emphasizing readiness to, quote, win big in all caps. I'm sure he yelled it, end quote. This comes amid escalating conflicts involving U.S.-Israeli airstrikes on Iran, driving investor interest in defense and drone-related stocks. In a Truth Social post, Trump highlighted the robust supply of munitions, stating that the U.S. has, quote, virtually unlimited supply, end quote, of medium and upper medium grade weapons, which have been used successfully in prolonged conflicts. He contrasts this with prior administration's policies, claiming high-end stockpiles were depleted by aid to Ukraine without adequate replenishment. Trump concluded, quote, the United States is stocked and ready to win big. The post underscores a narrative of restored military preparedness under his leadership, focusing on domestic capabilities and sustained operations. Now, for anyone that actually wants to go through any of the quotes in the story, I will drop it here in the chat, but here's the exciting part. Drone stocks surge amid these geopolitical tensions. U.S.-listed drone and defense stocks rallied as the Iran conflict intensified over the weekend, with reports of strikes, retaliatory attacks, and risks to regional stability boosting demand for autonomous systems like tactical drone and counter UAS technologies. What are some stocks that play into that, you ask? Well, I'm so thrilled that you ask, because number one is Ondas Holdings. Ticker on this is ONDS. It's been up 9.32% year to date, gained traction with recent news of a $10 million strategic investment in Worldview Enterprises for complementary stratospheric ISR capabilities, plus speculation and potential DoD programs like the Drone Dominance Gauntlet. Ondas was up 4.71% the past 5 days, and it was 1.22% higher in the pre-market on Tuesday. The next stock on the list is another one that we're familiar with and trade often. That's going to be Red Cat Holdings. Ticker is RCAT. Led performers with a significant year-to-date advance of 72.38%, driven by U.S. Army contracts, domestic manufacturing advantages under policies restricting foreign components, and expansions into multi-domain systems, including unmanned surface vessels. RCAT gained 6.92% over the past 5 days and was up 4.46% in the pre-market on Tuesday. The last stock on this list is Kratos Defense and Security Solutions. The ticker is KTOS, and it has shown strong year-to-date gains of 19.61%, benefiting from its focus on low-cost, high-performance unmanned aerial vehicles such as the XQ-58 Valkyrie, aligned with Pentagon priorities for attributable drones. The stock gained over 5% in Monday's trading session. Investors and market observers connect these moves to be heightened to heighten needs for autonomous weapons and counter drone systems. Yanis Zormanpanos, Zach, you'll have to let me know how I did on that. Director of Yazoo Galaxy Ventures Ltd said, quote, why Ondas actually benefits here. Drone attacks are now a main weapon in modern war. Cheap swarms are hard to stop, and even military needs counter drone systems fast. He added that Ondas was high risk, high upside play. This was really good to hear because this is what I have been telling all of you folks for a while. And if you want to go through his tweets, it's in that same article that I just linked there. While larger defense firms also advanced, pure play drone stocks like Kratos, Ondas, and Red Cat drew focus for battlefield relevance in the current dynamics. The rally reflects bets on sustained Pentagon investment in unmanned systems, though high volatility persists with fluid developments. And in addition to this last sentence here, which I think is extremely important, Cam here pointing out that Ondas ended up giving everything back yesterday right after that initial super spike right out of the open. Again, Cam, I just want to highlight here that I said verbatim, I do not think that you should be buying a stock that's up 20% on the news. And if you listen to that, you didn't have tears of sadness going on later in the day. It did basically come back to where it started here, and it is up a little bit in the pre-market here, up by about 20 cents, just shy of 20 cents here. One other thing that I want to mention here about Ondas, don't forget, this one is a very highly played retail name. There's a lot of talk about this on FinTwit. Eric, I think, does a great job taking a whole bunch of interviews and getting a lot of information out there, the whole 9 yards. So this is owned quite a bit by retail, and you can expect some of these volatile moves from a stock that has that type of ownership. So again, high risk, high reward. Be patient with this one. Don't chase the big candles. Rather, if you're trading this short term, use those opportunities to sell and reduce your risk and pocket some of those gains rather than chasing an elevated price. Especially for those of you that are available or into this every single day, use that to your advantage. Use that to your advantage. Don't be mesmerized by big green candles and bought in and then buy in at the highs. Instead, be patient and tactical and try to make that work for you. Now, the other news story here, you didn't think you were going to get out of here without a piece of news about AI, did you? Good. I'm glad. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has admitted that the announcement of his company's deal with the Pentagon was hastily made and poorly communicated. In a series of posts on X, and he actually does have a lot. These are some fairly lengthy Twitter posts. I'm certainly not going to read them all here for you, but I will link the story so you can go through all of them should you wish to do so. In a series of posts on X late on Monday, Altman confessed that the company's communication regarding the Pentagon's deal was rushed and, quote, wrong, end quote. He emphasized that the complexities of the issues demanded clear communication, which was missing in this case. Altman elaborated that the aim was to de-escalate the situation and avoid a worse outcome. Quote, I think it just looked opportunistic and sloppy, end quote. Regarding the specifics of OpenAI's contract with the U.S. government, Altman emphasized two core safety safeguards: a prohibition on domestic mass surveillance and a mandate for human accountability in the use of force, including decisions involving autonomous weapon systems. You know, there was someone on CNBC. I'm sorry, I can't remember the lady's name, but she made an excellent point. She was saying earlier how the laws with this whole like technology stack are changing rapidly, and some of these companies are forward looking into the future and saying, you know, the capabilities are going to change fast. The technology is going to change fast. The way these things are used in warfare are going to change fast. And as a result, we're trying to future proof this, if you will. And I think there's a little bit of kind of a disagreement there between the Pentagon here and some of these AI companies. But I just thought that was a really good point. Basically, the TLDR is that rules are changing here very, very quickly, and these AI companies are trying to stay ahead of that. And that's what's causing some of this confrontation. I think she's probably right on that. The Monday's Post which also served as an internal memo to employees, stated that the company intends to revise its governmental deal to include new language. Altman also plans to host an all-hands meeting on Tuesday to further answer questions. Altman previously said the U.S. government was mistaken in labeling Anthropic a supply chain risk, adding late Monday that he hopes the Pentagon extends to the company the same terms his firm has agreed to. The OpenAI Pentagon deal came into the spotlight on Friday, just hours after the Trump administration formally blacklisted rival Anthropic for sticking to guardrails for its AI tool usage. The deal was announced on the heels of employees of both OpenAI and Alphabet's Google writing an open letter demanding clear boundaries or red lines in government contracts. Meanwhile, the controversy surrounding the Pentagon deal and the subsequent ban of Anthropic led to a massive surge in users on Anthropic's Claude AI platform on Monday, causing it to crash repeatedly. So we've talked a little bit about oil, it's surging, and then some of the other stocks that are attributed to that also affecting some of these car makers here. Ford, GM, and Stellantis slip amid the oil price surge here. On Monday, Ford reported a decline of 4.97% at the market close, dropping to $13.39, while GM was down 1.21% and Stellantis slipping 5.69%. During pre-market trading on Tuesday, Ford further declined 1.79%, while GM fell 1.81%, and Stellantis, too, fell 5.6% further to $7.20. The decline comes as uncertainty looms around the auto industry as oil prices surge amid the tensions between U.S. and Iran. It's worth noting that President Trump's anti-EV stance, as well as the customer demand at this point, which has proven it, LOL, automakers have rolled back their efforts to develop EVs and focus more on ICE vehicles, but Ford committed to developing EVs with its universal EV platform, while GM reaffirmed commitments to EVs with its refusal to sunset the Silverado EV pickup. Iran said that it was closing the Strait of Hormuz, a key trade route for the global crude oil supply chain, which is also responsible for over 27% of the world's crude oil supply. The global supply has also been further disrupted as Qatar Energy suspended LNG productions following military strikes that hit facilities in Ras Laffan and Masayid industrial cities. I probably butchered that one. I'm sorry. The escalating tensions follow a U.S.-Israeli joint operations, which resulted in the death of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, while U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has addressed growing concerns across the globe of rising energy prices due to the conflict and hinted that there was a plan in place which would be implemented on Tuesday. So, again, just stay ready, stay frosty, as they say. Okay, let's also talk a little bit about some of the memory names here. SanDisk surges over 160% already in 2026, outpacing software's 23% slump as big money shifts to AI infrastructure. The technology landscape has dramatically shifted in 2026. While major indices remain relatively flat, a monumental rotation is occurring under the surface. According to Lucas Downey, co-founder of moneyflows.com, the market is moving away from the Mag 7 story of previous years. This is the rotation that Siegel is talking about. This is the rotation that we've been trying to monitor. And frankly, this is the rotation that we have been waiting for. 2026 has been one of those great years where you get indices that are basically flatlining, but you have a lot of stocks under the surface that are doing tremendously well, end quote. Downey noted that in a recent interview with Schwab Network. He highlighted a distinct shift where big money is deserting software as a service in favor of the physical infrastructure required to power artificial intelligence. Quote, we focus on where big money has been going, and it's been literally nonstop money going into Micron, also SanDisk, and also Lam Research, end quote. The performance gap is stark. SanDisk, ticker SNDK, which spun off from Western Digital a year ago, has become the poster child for this trend, surging a staggering 160.8% year to date. This gain stands in sharp contrast to the iShares Expanded Tech Software ETF, or IGV, that this group loves to trade, which has cratered 22.64% over the same period. Other semiconductor and memory plays are following SanDisk's lead. Micron, ticker MU, has climbed 44.59% year to date, while fabrication giant Lam Research, ticker LRCX, is up 34.96%. Downey attributes this to several bottleneck in AI chips and storage that is expected to last 2 years, allowing these companies to command premium pricing. Explosive fundamentals back the rotation. SanDisk's revenue is projected to double to $15.2 billion in 2026, while operating income expected to hit $7 billion. That is a tenfold increase from 2025. Meanwhile, software is facing, quote, signs of capitulation, end quote. While bellwethers like NVIDIA remain strong on guidance, Downey suggests investors are looking towards mid-cap tech for alpha. So I would turn this over to the group then. Do any of you have any mid-cap tech names that you really like? I would have to look at the market cap to make sure I'm getting this right, but I would think things like AAOI, which this group has just absolutely crushed, I would say, just to keep it positive. What other mid-cap tech stocks do you really like? Corey, I know that you like BM&R. I know that we've talked, like I said, about AAOI and some others. Let me know if there are any others on your list, in particular, ones that haven't yet moved. Quote, as long as earnings continue to be on the high end, these stocks are priced to go higher and higher, end quote. All right. As I mentioned, it's Tuesday. That means it's a T3 Tuesday, and we have one of our favorite show guests joining us today. Let's go ahead and bring on Derrick Oldensmith from T3. Derrick, good morning. Happy Tuesday. How you doing, my man?
Hey, good morning, and it is one hell of a morning, isn't it?
One hell of a morning. It's one hell of a week already, and it's only Tuesday, and it's been one hell of a year. You pick your time frame, and it's been a hell of that. That's for sure. I'm glad that you're joining us here today because you've done a really good job kind of walking us through some of these volatile plays and how we can actually trade them, and I can't wait to dive into that here today. Before we do that, let's get the bills paid. Trade with Derrick all next week for free in his Pro Desk virtual trading floor. That is March 9th through March 13th. We do have a QR code on the screen, and the producer will drop the link in the chat if you want to continue the old ways, as they say. Okay, Derrick, we have a lot going on, right? We have the SaaS apocalypse, so we have the rotation out of tech, we have the destruction of software as a service. Now we have the conflict with Iran, which is spiking defense and oil stocks. Let me just first ask you this. Where are you looking for most of your active trades presently?
I'm very short right now on a swing basis coming into today's trading session, which was a little bit tricky after the way that we got bought back up yesterday. But I was telling my team in my afternoon meeting, I was like, look, first day of March, you sometimes get some unusual flows. And I've also seen the situation in the past where it's like, we should be breaking down yesterday. We're not. There's some hedging covering going on in the morning that's driving us higher. And then the next day, the market sells off. And right now, you know, the SPYs are set to gap down 1.6% as you and I are chatting. And there is really one important question for today's trading session. And that important question is, can we push downside today or not? Because up until right now, at least at the market level with individual stocks and sectors, it's been different. But at the market level, you have not been able to push upside or downside because we've just been in this extremely tight range.
Absolutely.
And we're potentially set to break that range to the downside today. So is just going to be another morning of hedge monetization and the market's going to snap right back up similar to yesterday? Or are we actually going to hold below some support levels, trigger some systematic selling, in which case we can potentially push downside? That's the $10 million question of the day.
Okay, well, you know exactly what I'm going to follow up with, right? What's your answer to the $10 million question? One of the things that I led the show with yesterday was that I know we're down here. Watch for a green close. Wouldn't be surprised if we close green. Lo and behold, we just barely closed green. What I said today is we're actually down a little bit more, and I feel like the second day bounce is going to be less strong than what we saw yesterday. So I'm not nearly as confident. Number one, do you agree with that? But number two, and perhaps more importantly, what's the answer to the $10 million question?
Sure. So, first of all, part of the reason why we were able to bounce back as well as we did yesterday is because market participants, generally speaking, were very hedged over the weekend. So they just came in and they covered those hedges. But they came in and they covered those hedges yesterday, and now we're down even more this morning than we were yesterday, and that leaves those market participants potentially a little bit more exposed. The bottom line is I don't know the answer, but I have a process that's going to enable me to do the right thing based on what the market tells me after we open. And I'm happy to explain what that process is that will tell me whether or not I should be further pushing downside. So whenever we have these very large gaps in the market, which today is going to be a decently large gap, again, S&P right now is down almost 1.7%. The NASDAQ is down 2.1% or so. The IWM is down 2.6%. We're set to have a very large gap. When we have large gaps, what that does is it creates small time frame extension. So when you look at a 5-minute chart, when the market first opens up at 9:30, we're going to be down obviously a very large amount from where we closed yesterday. That's going to create small time frame extension. I really like to see in periods of small time frame extension from gaps how the market handles things over the course of the first 30 minutes. That's going to be the big clue. We're going to get an opening range here in the first 30 minutes. And then if it's after 10 a.m. and the ADMA on the 5-minute is caught up to price, or price is caught to ADMA on the 5-minute, and now we begin to really start breaking below and holding below SPY 675, that is going to be my signal to look to really push things to the downside, because we're breaking year lows, which has been tested and held 4 times. Technical selling will begin to come into the market. Systematic selling from vol control and from CTA trend following communities are also going to begin selling beneath these prices. And what could happen if we hold below SPY 675 today after we get through the open is the beginning of a big enough sell-off that I think could bring us down to the 200 SMA in a very short time. I think you could see if we hold down here, we don't immediately snap back, we could see SPY 655, which is about where the 200 day is, within a couple days. We could get there so fast. And to me, that's asymmetric risk reward. So maybe I go to press the short side today and I'm wrong and I get stopped out. I will take that loss all day because the risk reward situation that I'm putting myself in is asymmetric. This is where I eventually get paid and make a lot of money. And that at the end of the day is what trading is all about. We're right sometimes, we're wrong sometimes. It's making sure that when the opportunity is there and you put that risk on, that you get absolutely paid for the risk that you're putting on. And this is one of those opportunities to be able to do that.
Okay, guys, please smash up the like for Derrick. That was an awesome rundown. He is giving you his trading plan here for free. Please hit that like. Derrick, did you want to share your screen and go over any of these charts? I'd be happy to drive for you, but if you have some of them, I'd be happy to put that up too. The next question I'm going to ask you is, I know you just gave your outline here for the market, but what other individual names are you taking a look at?
Sure. So this market has been so unique. Here's just the pre-market chart of the SPYs. You can see we just took that below 675. We'll flip over to the daily chart. You can see this triple, quadruple support that we've been holding this year. We held it in January. We held it twice in February. We held it pre-market yesterday. 4 a.m. we were at like 670, 650 and held it again yesterday morning. This morning, we are set to potentially open beneath that. Traditionally, I used to call that a breakaway gap for people who understand anything about gap analysis. People know that most of the time gaps tend to get filled. The one time in which there is a significantly lower probability of a gap being filled is when the market gaps above a resistance level or below a support level. So we'll see if we can gap below that support level by 9:30 this morning and hold below it, kind of like I was just saying. So it's an extra layer of probability. that breakdown. Now, the one thing that's been so unique about this market, to more directly answer your question about individual stocks and sectors to look for the downside, is that the S&P has done absolutely nothing this year, but dispersion has been at all-time highs. So while the S&P has done nothing, the average stock in the S&P has moved something like 11%, which I've been trading professionally for 16 years. I've never seen that happen before in my career. It's only ever happened before in like 2007 and I think sometime in the late 90s. So it's been a really unique environment. But the thing is, if the market really begins to break down, you're going to see something that we haven't seen all year, which is correlations increase. So there's going to be maybe a couple places that bulls could hide. I think they could still potentially hide in energy. And I actually think, I know right before I came on, you were talking about software. If you look at software positioning, it is the most short that it's been and least long that it's been since at least 2018. So it's a pretty long look back there. So there's a chance just from a positioning perspective that software actually holds in a little bit better than other sectors in the market. But broadly thinking, if we sell, I think that we sell pretty much everything. I'm looking at Tesla to stay below 400, which has acted as a support level to see if this thing can potentially continue to the downside. I'm looking at Meta short versus like 645, 630 is a big support level, but short versus 645 to be able to push downside. I'm looking at Amazon, which has started to establish this like 210, 211 as resistance, but now it might break down a bit on this pattern as a potential momentum short versus like 205, maybe a little bit higher than that. Got to see where this thing opens and where it's trading again post that 10 a.m. So I think that correlations are going to increase across the board. I'm short semiconductors already still from the failed breakout that we had. It was very interesting that software gave a failed breakdown below 80, while semiconductors right in front of the NVIDIA report gave a failed breakout above 420. From a failed move comes a fast move. You're already seeing that in the semiconductors here. I think that could have continued downside as well. So that's what I'm looking to push. And I'm looking to push the indexes. I'm already short UPRO and TQQQ, but I'm being aggressive with it. And I've got SPY puts on also.
Okay, awesome. Derrick, I love that you ate your Wheaties here this morning. Folks, be more like Derrick and eat your Wheaties. Be as prepared as possible. That was an absolutely fantastic breakdown. I got one follow-up question coming directly from the group here. Lion, one of our more experienced traders from our group here, says oil and defense are some of the best sectors to hide in. Do you agree with this assertion? And do you have perhaps favorite plays in either one of these sectors?
So I like XLE a lot, more so right now than OIH, but it feels chasey to me, which is the only problem. I mean, look at the move that this has already happened, plus the extension off the 80 EMA and the 21 EMA. So I think that it's potentially a better sector to hide in, but it's tough. At a certain point, I think that you can look for value plays. Again, I know right before I was getting on, you were talking about like some mid-cap like software type companies, I think that you could potentially keep an eye on. I'm back in Sentinel One S. I had been in this for a while. I got out of this into the move into the 20s. It's getting whacked back down here to pretty much all-time lows in $13 zone. I think that this is a buyout candidate at a certain point. So I've got a position in this on the long side in case the market holds in. Another one that's really beaten up that I think could be a value play at a certain point is this ESTC. It might you might want to be a little bit patient on an entry with that because it could see some weakness with MDB selling down on its earnings report. But I've got a couple like in the back of my head to starting to think about some value names, because I also should mention that I think that a big breakdown sell-off in this market is eventually going to be a really big buying opportunity. I should really mention that. So I'm already
Can
thinking,
you see the notes here that am I like secretly sharing my screen? Because you're literally hitting every note that I have for you in order. I mean, go buy a lottery ticket after this, Derrick, because for heaven's sakes, you're literally taking everything off my list here. This is perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, because as we go into late March, you're going to see all those tax refunds begin to hit to consumers' pockets. They're going to spend that money. They're going to put that money into the stock market. I think this breakdown is going to be more of a positioning washout than anything. And as much as the Iran thing is obviously a scary and terrible situation, and I hope it resolves with as few lives lost as possible, all the history shows that these types of situations, 3 months later, 6 months later, 12 months later, the market's always up. So I think that we're due for a little bit of like a positioning washout, which could squeeze this market very quickly down to the 200-day. But at a certain point, this market becomes viable. And while from a short-term trading perspective, which is what I am very laser focused this morning on taking advantage of asymmetric risk reward to the downside for that bigger break. The take a half step back part of me is already thinking about, well, where is the value in this market that I want to come in and start buying at a certain point into that sell off? If this market's down 7 to 10%, what do I want to be leaning into? And that is where some of that mid cap software that I don't think would be as easily disrupted by AI kind of comes into my brain with a couple of names that I mentioned.
Okay, that's absolutely perfect. Producer, clip it and ship it, because that was absolutely awesome. One more question here. First of all, I love that the chat is just out here right now, hanging on all of this. Do you have any thoughts on an LNG play?
I don't really.
Okay, that's all right.
I'm watching it, but it's not really my space, the nat gas. Definitely watching the oil side of it more, but I really don't have anything for you on that one. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I appreciate it anyway. Folks, trade with Derrick all next week for free in his ProDesk virtual trading floor, March 9th through 13th. QR code is on the screen. Derrick, one of the things that I'm thrilled that you just talked about this could represent a potential buy spot at some point. I understand that you look at charts and you have all of your spots on some of these charts. Do you ever think about seasonality at all? And the reason I ask is because a lot of the guests that we've brought on here talk about traditionally February is a very weak month, and really the market doesn't bottom necessarily until about halfway through March. It certainly doesn't do it right at the start there, although you did make another excellent point about the inflows that we likely saw at the first of the month during yesterday's session. Do you pay attention to the seasonality window at all? And then secondarily, does a geopolitical conflict like what we're seeing here with Iran just throw a monkey wrench into that anyway?
That's a great question, and it's something I love to talk about because for the vast majority of my trading career, and again, I've been doing this professionally with T3 for 16 years now, I did not believe in seasonality at all. And my thought process was always, just because something happens to happen in the past doesn't mean that it's going to happen again this year. Every situation is unique. I don't think that just because we happen to go down February last year means that we have to go down February this year. And then I'm still learning after 16 years of trading. My thought process really started to evolve around 2020, around the COVID period, where I started to learn more that seasonality is seasonality for a reason, because at certain times of the year, there are forced flow of funds, and forced flow of funds is what actually moves the market. So you could just look at the strength in the beginning of January is a very simple example. You have a new calendar year coming in, which is actually creating a new flow of funds that's coming into the market. Yep. That's especially true when the year prior to that is positive, just because then people can get more leverage. They have more assets. It builds upon itself. Therefore, January is seasonally strong because there are forced inflows that happen every year in January. And that just makes so much more logical sense. So once I started to study more of the concept of market dynamics and flow of funds, I began to realize that seasonality is seasonality for a reason. So now I look at it from a balanced approach. I certainly pay attention to seasonality. It's something that I factor in, but I also recognize that every situation is unique. Maybe you get a global pandemic, maybe you get a new war. There's always going to be a different situation. And if anything, the last year or so, I would say since like September or so, the normal playbook of seasonality has really not been great over the course of the last 6 months. It has not played out in the same way that it oftentimes historically does. And again, that's probably because situations have been pretty unique. With all that said, I am paying attention to, because I think it makes logical sense, that March 14th is kind of our traditional pivot low coming out of February and the first half of March weakness. That's usually where the strength comes in. And again, think about it. It makes logical sense when you understand flow of funds. When do people get their corporate get their tax refunds? A large percentage of that for people is in the second half of March and the first half of April. Well, second half of March is where we get strong, and April is where we stay strong. And again, it makes sense. And that's also part of what I'm expecting this year. I think that flow of funds will have a huge impact. The changes in the tax code are going to probably put even more money in people's pockets from a tax refund perspective than it has traditionally. And honestly, I would even start the meme stocks come April again, because these lunatics with their tax refunds, they're going to want to come in and buy the worst companies in the world that have high beta and just trade the hell out of it with their call options, which can create these huge moves. And I might not believe in I don't know, I'm just going to make up a random meme stock. I might not believe in JOBY in the long run. As a matter of fact, they certainly don't. I've been short this thing in the past, but maybe they start waking this thing up again when the Wall Street Bets community gets their tax refunds and they start ripping these things higher. Or maybe it's quantum starts to go again. I don't know. Know your levels. It's worth paying attention to. This is a trader's market.
What do you mean? You're not going to do a full port send it into GameStop? I'm shocked that you're practicing risk management out there. Okay, absolutely phenomenal breakdown, folks. Trade with Derrick all next week for free in his virtual Pro Desk trading floor. It is March 9th through the 13th. Derrick, that is just an absolutely phenomenal breakdown. You and the rest of the T3 guys are awesome, and we cannot thank you enough for coming on here and sharing all of your insight, plans, and in today's case, chart as well. Anything else that you want to mention before we let you get to it?
You know, I'm told that I'm not good at self-promotion, so I'm just going to throw this out there because I usually don't do it. Come join the Pro Desk, the virtual trading floor that I run for the week. Just the community in there is primarily professional prop traders with T3, not necessarily people who are paying subscribers. If someone wants to be a paying subscriber, they can do it. But really what I'm looking to do is hone the next generation of professional prop traders at T3. And that's something that anybody in your community, if they want to have a conversation on what being a professional prop trader, which is what I am, looks like, I'm happy to have that conversation with anyone.
Okay, that's awesome. I think you did a great job there. And no worries, I will help you promote that because we are extremely thankful for all of that. You heard him, folks. You heard him. Go ahead and scan that QR code here, and I will actually throw the link here in the chat. Can we get a link for that as well? Here it is. They can find everything from the T3, t3live.com/Benzinga link, right? They can find all of the stuff that you're talking about right from that link. Absolutely fabulous. There you go, Edward. Derrick, thank you so much for all of the time here today, all of your insight. I really look forward to following up with you next time, okay?
Thanks, Ryan. Catch you next time.
All right, folks, you got more than you bargained for here today. As I told you, those T3 guys are absolutely phenomenal. That was a great breakdown there by Derrick. I literally have bullet points on a note sheet, and he went down the line and hit all of them. He took questions from the chat as well. This is a good Tuesday. This is a good Tuesday. Let's see if the market cooperates with us. Okay, let me go ahead and bring back these charts here. Actually, how much time do we have? You know what we'll do? We're going to do our street tweets segment right now. We'll get it out of the way. That way, when 13 joins, we'll just be able to hit the ground running. Let me go ahead and cue this up. I've got two here for you today. Let's do street tweets. And our first tweet here comes from Mohammed El Arian, and guess what? He's talking about something that Derrick just talked to you about. From the Wall Street Journal, I think Derrick probably reads the Wall Street Journal. Market dispersion is hitting levels not seen in decades as investors sort AI winners from losers. Recall that dispersion, both within and across sectors and economies, is one of three key themes that El Arian has highlighted for 2026. And we just had a highlight here from Derrick alongside volatility and fragmentation. So it's not the same as it always has been, and that is going to create, I think Derrick called it asymmetric opportunity. Those are some of the things that we need to take a look at. I'll go ahead and throw this tweet in here in case you want the infographic, or if you want to have a laugh at some of the comments, because those are always pretty spicy. Producer, next tweet. This one comes from Unusual Whales, and this is kind of sad. 51% of Gen Z have said that their college degree is a waste of money, per Indeed. Now, the reason that this is impactful here is because we've talked recently, especially on Happy Hour, but we have done so here as well. We've talked recently about trade schools actually being viable education for people to get and how important that is for society. We've actually taken a look at some of the stocks that represent some of these, most notably UTI. I think Lincoln Tech was another one that we had in there. And then ultimately, where do we go from here, right? Where do we go from here? I remember growing up as a kid, both my parents, whom were both teachers, would tell me all of the time, not only how important it is to be a lifelong learner, but how important school was. And I believed that for a majority of my life. And then as I started to pick up real world experience, I realized that actually the real world experience and the connections and interpersonal connections that I was making with people ended up being far more valuable. I also went to a technical college. In fact, my first collegiate experience out of high school was an automotive repair college here in Illinois, sponsored by the General Motors program. I used those skills and some of those friendships that I built during that time to this day. And I would absolutely not call that a waste. And it was a fraction of what I paid to go out of state to a wonderful school like Indiana University. Go Hoosiers, national champs, by the way. So just something to think about here. Where do we go next from here? Okay, let's go back to the charts here. We've got just a couple of minutes here before 13 shows up. I actually did have one more story that I wanted to cover here, and this timing should absolutely be perfect. Gene Munster says that Apple's new iPhone 17e iPad Air could lift the June quarter growth above the street estimates. Now, Apple, of all of the tech stocks, Apple has been perhaps the best to hide out in, as it really hasn't been hit all that bad and ends up making a bunch of awesome gains. This is saying, hey, maybe we could have another beat and raise quarter here. Gene Munster, managing partner of Deepwater Asset Management, said that the unveiling of the new iPhone 17e and iPad Air is expected to significantly augment the revenue growth for Apple for the June quarter. The market had initially forecasted a 7% revenue growth for Apple. However, the introduction of these devices could potentially push this figure to 9%, contrary to market expectations of a slump in the June revenue guidance. That came from Munster yesterday. The iPhone 17e and iPad Air now offer double the storage while maintaining their $599 entry-level price point. According to Munster, this suggests it is effectively managing memory cost pressures, even if it means taking a margin hit, something the company has indicated in its past earnings calls. Munster said the iPhone 17e, which typically makes up 15 to 20% of annual iPhone unit sales and closer to 20% when newly launched, usually drives about 15% year-over-year unit growth for a few quarters. Despite having a 27% lower average selling price, it could boost June quarter iPhone revenue by about 2%, lifting expected overall company revenue growth by roughly 1 percentage point. He estimates that the iPad makes up about 7% of total sales, with the iPad Air accounting for nearly half of that. A 15% boost in Air sales would add roughly 1% to overall revenue. Combined with a similar 1% lift from the iPhone, this could push June revenue growth closer to 9% above the street's 7% forecast. Munster sees the situation as positive and doesn't expect any, quote, negative surprises, end quote, on earnings side or concerning commentary about its impact in the June quarter. The iPhone 17e is the latest addition to the iPhone 17 family and was announced by Apple on Monday as a more affordable option for its customers. The device, priced at $599, offers 256 gigabytes of storage, twice the entry storage of its predecessor, which was at the same price point. The phone runs on Apple Apple's new 3 nanometer A19 chip and includes the C1X in-house modem, which Apple says is up to twice as fast as the C1 in the iPhone 16e. So it actually sounds like, despite the price point remaining the same, the technology is actually a significant boost in this model. The new iPad Air comes with 12 gigabytes of unified memory, a 50% increase from the previous model, and 120 gigabit per second memory bandwidth. Powered by the M4 chip, it's up to 30% faster than the M3 version. I'm used to being 30% faster than the M3 version too. LOL, all jokes aside, and up to 2.3 times quicker than the M1 model. It also features Apple's N1 wireless chip. According to the reports, a few more products are lined up for release on March 4th, including a MacBook Pro featuring the M5, now we're talking, Pro and M5 Max chips, and a 12th generation iPad, among others. Apple has posted record iPhone sales in recent quarters, and the upcoming launch of Apple Pay in India could unlock another leg of growth, particularly in the affordable segment. Apple Pay's seamless payments ecosystem makes it even more affordable iPhone models more attractive to Indian consumers. Moreover, the added integration between Apple Pay and devices such as iPads, Macs, and Apple Watches could also benefit their ecosystem. A real quick look here at the Edge rankings. 94th percentile for quality, still holding on to a 64th percentile for momentum. Kind of a poor score there for value. But again, if the market comes in, we'll see where that goes. Question here from CoinFox. Did you go to Lincoln Tech? I did not. I actually went to Triton College. Triton had 3 automotive programs sponsored directly by the manufacturer. They had a Ford program, a GM program, and a Toyota/Lexus program. I chose the GM program because I was into GM cars, and I built a Trans Am that ran like a bat out of hell at that time. So no, Lincoln Tech, actually, several of the technicians that I worked with in the dealership, which I had to do while I was going to school, several of them did graduate from Lincoln Tech. We shared stories and all of that. Good people from all of the ones that I know. All right. And we are right at 9:01. I almost hit that to the second, folks. I almost hit that to the second. We got good vibes here today. And I am absolutely here for it. What that means is we're going to start our pre-market pulse segment and bring on 13 for better and more good vibes. All right, 13. Good morning. Vibe me up.
Hey, man. Good vibes for everybody out there. How's everybody doing this morning? Good vibes.
Obviously, 13 took bong rips to the head here. Just kidding. All right, 13. Do you want to start with some of the smaller movers? What do you want to start with here today? I should just get in the habit of asking you.
First of all, good morning, everybody. I just want to get these movers out of the way because it's not looking like the greatest list. And we all know why most of these are up anyway.
Okay.
So I think it'd be there's some that we need to talk about, particularly BATL. This one's halted right now because they have an offering coming up. So don't want to touch that one.
Okay. Can I start here with one of the movers?
No, go ahead.
Actually, that one fooled me. I was like, oh. And then, okay. That was good. Bonus points. Okay, first one here is going to be GXAI. And as you can see, we actually closed at about $1.14 yesterday. We're at $1.10 here today on the weakness in the pre-market. But you see we had a news pop here that actually took us to 150. We've backed off a little bit, and it actually looks like we're trying to recapture the VWAP. That would be great, especially if we can build above. But a shout out to our Benzinga news desk team here because we actually did an exclusive on GXAI here today. Gaxos AI acquires a stake in U.S. defense company to build a, quote, made in America drones. They also a strategic stake in American First Defense. Those terms were not disclosed. Again, a big time shout out to our news desk team here. It looks like we actually had this news available for you to trade just shy of 30 minutes prior to the press release going out to the rest of the market. So GXAI got some drones news here today. This stock is popping and it's up by about 13% here. A quick peek at the short interest on this name, 3.54% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average 100-day volume of 7.23 million shares. Today, we've done 15.2 million already. Float on this one is 8.4. 13, I realize that I threw you a Clayton Kershaw-esque curveball right there, but you have any thoughts here on GXAI, chart or otherwise?
Well, not too long ago, we just had an exclusive on this about how they were teaming up with TikTok's parent ByteDance to supercharge AI videos. So we're working with a Chinese firm to supercharge AI videos, and then we're going to buy a U.S. defense company to make drones. I'm trying to find the connection, but I'm not sure that it's a particularly great one. That aside, let's look at what the company's got going on. They need some cash. Fortunately, they have short-term investments they'll probably end up converting into cash, but if that's not what they're able to do, then they're going to have to do some kind of capital raise. Company is not profitable. They lose money every quarter. They do have some revenue. It's not nearly enough to pull them into profitability. So I expect them to potentially need to raise capital here if they cannot convert those short-term investments into cash. As far as the chart goes, we did get a pop up to 150 today, and then that immediately came right back to beneath VWAP, and we have not been able to recapture it since. So if we do manage to get above VWAP here going into the open, there might be some better trades happening here. I could lean on that 150 spot, certainly. I think the 140 area may also provide some kind of resistance. Only one close up at that area this whole time we've been trading. So, or this whole time this price action has been happening. So I would kind of lean on 140 and 150 as next two resistance areas. I do see that there's a seller in the way at 146 with larger size than normal compared to the other price positions here.
Okay, good stuff there. One other thing I will mention here, we do have a fair value gap formed by the 15-minute chart here on GXAI. We have not yet traded into that gap, so it is still unmitigated. We'll see if we get an opportunity here to set this up as a trading plan. I would also, by the way, look for an entry around that break of structure here. It's about 115. Not even sure I'm going to trade this here today. Probably looking at some of the bigger names, but there we go. Really good breakdown there. You hit that curveball into the gap and are currently standing on second. Now I'm going to go back to the top of the list here. I've got ZD. This is Ziff Davis. This stock up 62% as it closed at $28.01 yesterday. Looks like it's traded up to $45.50 and is having a tough time breaking that. A definitive agreement to sell connectivity division to Accenture. So this is resulting in a $1.2 billion cash transaction here for ticker ZD. Again, that is why the stock is up 62+% here. We take a look at the short interest on this name, 19.56% of the float shorted with 9.09 days to cover. Folks, that is high on both metrics. So possible squeeze action going on here. We'll see if we get any more action from some of these numbers. On average, this stock trades just shy of 700,000 shares per day. Today, it's done 828,000, and it has a float of 24.38 million. 13, what do you think here on ticker ZD?
Well, I think that them selling their media business for 1.2 billion puts that, well, before we had this move, it put it above their market cap, which was 1.05 billion. So wouldn't be surprised to see this continue to move higher, but it is looking like it's starting to run out of steam. 1 second, let me pull this up on my broker here. So it's great that we've been riding and holding above the VWAP, but it looks like we've kind of plateaued for a little bit here. Not exactly sure what we're going to get out of the open. I would think this starts to come back in. It's looking very, very spready. Right now, I see that there's about a 25-cent spread between the last price action. If this is going to go higher, or if you're going to try and trade this one, be very careful. This is a little bit of a concern about how it's going sideways here after reaching these heights. Here's some other positive things about this, though. This company is annually profitable. So I don't think they're going to need to raise any capital. They've got tons of cash. They got lots of revenue. They just get pretty close to break even on some months. I'm sorry, some quarters, but annually they're still profitable. They also have a 19.56%. Well, at least that was what I had earlier. I hate how this changes because now it's not showing that. Give me 1 second here. No, that's correct.
19.56% float shorted.
19.56%, 9 days to cover. So this is a short squeeze as well.
Okay. We also have a fair value gap here. I will say, be careful with this one. The range on this gap, quite huge. We'll just call it 40 and a quarter, all the way down to 29 and a quarter. So I don't think this strategy of necessarily buying anywhere in the top half of the gap and then having the stop at the bottom of the gap, I don't really think that makes sense. I think you're going to have to tighten it up. That's going to make it a little bit more difficult. Remember, the more narrow these fair value gaps, the easier they're going to be for us to trade here. I am deriving mine off of the 15-minute chart, and then I'm looking for entry on the 5-minute chart. We'll see if we get that here. But as far as a pullback 13, really one of the levels that I would be interested in here is a pullback towards $40. Even if we bounced right off the round $40 number, I'd feel pretty good if this showed any type of strength to the upside. So we'll see here. We can be a little bit patient with this one. We don't necessarily need to rush right out of the gate here. What do you got?
Joe Schmo is calling me Bong, James Bong. My designation is Double Bowl 7. Thank you.
Double Bowl 7. Oh man, and this is just—it's so awesome and funny. I just love it. Okay, next here, I'll keep moving through some of these. I don't know how many of these you want to cover. You said we had to talk about Battle. We'll get there. Next one here is going to be TPET. This is Trio Petroleum. Stock closed at $1.12 yesterday. Obviously, this is involved with oil, so it's trading higher here by 66%. Actually, looks like 220 was the area that stopped us earlier. We've come back in, but it is curling a bit. 4.22% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Fairly negligible there. On average, it trades 8.2 million shares, but because of everything going on, it's traded 113 million here today. The float on this is 10.6. 13, what do you think here on TPET for today as we cross through the VWAP to the upside?
Well, when it comes to this one, I'm a little bit worried about them doing some kind of capital raise. The company does need cash. They have 10.62 million shares in the float. It looks like we're trying to rise here in the pre-market as we approach the open, so it's looking good for some upside, but I get the sense that, like Battalion, this is going to be a company that's going to need to raise capital. And not too long ago, I think not last month, January, they had news that they approved an at-the-market share issuance program on June 9th, so that Ladenburg Thalmann and Company can issue and sell shares to raise capital for this money. So we could see some of that happen very soon. So be careful with TPET. Understand that there could be some kind of capital raise coming very soon. The company does need the money, and aside from that, it's running on the Iran news. So just would be careful with this one. Trade it if you got the if your indicators are it's telling you you can still trade it and that you're relatively safe. But understand that they need cash and they could raise capital by issuing shares as early as today.
Okay. All right. Really good breakdown. Look, I'm going to skip ahead here real quick. I know we've got NPT in here and Rubico in here, but I'm going to skip ahead to Battle here. And I'm just going to let you take this and step away for 1 sec. I do want to mention that yesterday we had talked about this potential wedge. We basically broke out of the bottom of that, but it did kind of trade slowly back up towards the highs. Now, if I actually extend this line out a little bit, it appears as if we used it as support. So although we didn't actually break out from this same area yesterday, it looks like maybe we're using that same line as support. We did trade up above 30. We've so far pulled back to the 65 EMA and bounced. This thing is going to be volatile. Be very, very careful with this. 13, I'm going to turn this over to you. I'm going to step away for 1 moment and I'll be right back.
Okay. So this is this still? Yeah, it's still suspended, Battalion. So it's suspended because they have announced this morning that they are going to commence a 15 million stock offering at $5.50 a share, and that comes out to I think roughly about 2.7 something million shares that they're going to add to the float. So that's getting pretty close to doubling the amount of float. This could pull the price down when we open, or when this unhalts or unsuspends. So if that's going to be the case, then we could see this come. I don't know that we're going to go right down to 550, but we're going to get pulled down. Do we lose the 65 EMA on the 5-minute, probably most likely. I don't know exactly where this is going to drop down to. I'm not going to make predictions about where this is going to drop down to, but I think the risk speaks for itself that this is going to be a massive dilution event for the share structure, and it's going to pull the price in. So if you're looking to trade this, I'd wait to jump into this until after it settles out. I don't really have, you don't get it. Seems like Battle is doing an offering of, what's not to get? It's suspended right now, but the price action isn't moving because it's suspended. So when that unhalts, yes, I think they did halt it before it was announced. That's why we haven't got the price action quite yet. Now I don't know when they halted it. I didn't look at that. I just woke up, came on here, started looking at the different names, saw Battle was suspended and that they had announced the capital raise. And this came at, what is this, 8:36 Eastern. So,
yep.
I don't have, beyond that, I don't have anything else I can add to that. It's, we just have to wait for this to unhalt and see what happens. Okay.
Good coverage there. I'm just going to go ahead and assume $15 million offering, $5.50 a share.
That's going to almost double their float.
Okay, and actually, let me take a look here. I don't know if I'm going to get an answer on this. Let's see. Let's see. BATL halted at 8:13 Eastern, and I have no indication of a resumption. So halted news pending.
So Joe, there you go. They halted before the news came across the news feed here by like 23 minutes.
And I mean, that's typical. I mean, whenever a company knows that they're going to be releasing news like that, they will halt their stock. Yep. Not in every case. We've seen offerings where the stocks are not halted, but this happens.
And this is just, and I hate reiterating it in this tone, but this is one more reason why we say that these are day trades. Like when we talk about these companies having very little cash and not profitable, that increases the risk that they're going to have to do stuff like this. So we like to look at these and trade these just on a daily basis. Don't hold them overnight because you don't know when something like this is going to happen.
3 days ago, the stock was $3.97.
Yeah.
In the pre-market today, it was 30 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, in any case, we'll see what happens when it unhalts here today. Battle, really good breakdown there. Okay. So we did TPET, we did ZD. Do we want to take a look at NPT here? This is Texon Holdings. Looks like this had a big volume surge earlier. Stock was about was about 578 at close. We traded above 11 here this morning, but we've come back under VWAP on this 50% retracement. I don't show any news for this. Tuesday, February 10th. Yeah, I don't see any news for this one. I'm sorry?
This isn't coming up for me in Pro.
Interesting.
Like I'm trying to type it into the search.
NPT, Nancy Papa Tango.
It just gives me Northern Potash, Northern Platinum. It gives me an extra everything that has 4 tickers or 5 tickers. I'm sorry, symbols.
That is really strange. Okay. Okay. Well,
can you type it in the chat and see if I can just click it from there? Let me see if I can pull it up in my broker. My broker has no problem.
Okay, so I wonder, but I'm on Pro.
Yeah, I know. That's why. Here, okay, you know what? I can pull it from the scanner.
There you go. Ticker is in the happy hour chat for you. Let me know if that works. It's okay though. I'll keep driving here. I don't see any news. Let's do a quick rundown on some of the share structure here. We'll start with the short interest. 3.2% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average 100-day volume of 680,000 shares. Today, it looks like that's done 8.4 million. Float on this is 3.5 million. 13, I'm going to assume that if you can't pull it up there,
I had to refresh, but now I've got it up.
Okay.
What pulled this thing? Okay, so this is still a pretty new issue then, right? Like we just got this in October.
If that's what the chart said. Yes, because it was so that ticker that you were pulling up before, probably looking at the previous ticker, it looks like that ended in April of 2016, October of 2025, this started.
Yeah, I don't think that was the problem. It just wasn't bringing this up at all. But anyway, so we've hit at 1150. We've come back in underneath the VWAP, kind of coming into a support area around 750. We'll see if that holds. If it doesn't, I mean, it's probably going to come back into the 65 EMA. Sorry, I don't have a whole lot.
It's okay. It's okay. Look, whenever we don't have a complete picture here, our chat swoops in to lift us up, and that is exactly what Alpha Trade is doing right now. No time to get into China stocks, and indeed, this is a China oil name. So you know already why this is moving. The whole China cozying up to Iran and the whole Strait of Hormuz thing and all of that. That's what's going on here. To me, I'm with Alpha here. I'm just going to avoid this. I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to trade this. So, yeah. But this is what we got. This is what we got here. That's NPT. I'm just going to move on here. 13.
Okay.
We're going to do Ruby, and then I think that's it here. I think that BG. You'll have to let me know if you want to take a look at any of these others. Otherwise, we can go to the chat and see what they want to look at. Ruby here, though, that's ticker RUBI. This stock closed yesterday at about $1.01. Started to trade up in the after hours, spiked here today, but we get the dreaded formation that we've seen in the pre-market here. When we get this impulse spike, this consolidated around its VWAP, puked it out, tried to test it and recapture it later, could not. Tried again shortly after, could not. We stay below. We're actually currently riding the 65 EMA there on the 5. If we take a look at the news here, and Battle Unhalted, we'll take a look at that here in a sec. Let me just finish this one off. If we take a look here, yesterday in the morning, Monday, March 2nd. Yes, yesterday in the morning here, they management estimate of a net asset value of $94 million. And it looks like we got some forms later in the day. Stock took off in the after hours. I got to be honest with you. Let's see what it says here. Rubico said its NAV, based on third-party broker estimates of charter-free vessel values, debt, and cash, equals 22.8 per common share, or 15.06 fully diluted, taking into account 2.13 million warrants. So I suspect that this type of thing here is what's driving it. Here's a comment from the CEO. As per our latest market close, we're trading at 94.4% discount to the company's current estimates of its fully diluted NAV. So this is why the stock is up. Will it be able to hold up? It's up by 40% right now. Quick peek at the short interest on this. I actually don't have a percent of float shorted reading, but I have a very, very low raw short interest value, only 61,000 shares held short. On average, it trades 2 million shares. It's done 35.5 here today, and I don't have a float figure. Get in there, 13.
Yeah, I was saying you don't have a float figure here. My broker says it's 502,000 shares. So if this is a really very low float, then you can see a lot of wild movement out of this. Just looking to see if there were any other reverse splits that took place. Sure enough, the 12th of February, there was a 1-for-7 reverse split. That's why we have the share structure the way it is. There was also a 1-for-30 that was executed in November. So they just be reverse splitting up in here. Okay.
Well, we've seen that before. Maybe that doesn't really matter that it's at a 94.4% discount.
Well, usually it precedes capital raising. I'm not suggesting that that's what's going to for sure happen, but when you reverse split to pull yourself above $1, it's probably because you're not falling within NASDAQ compliance. I was just looking to see if there's anything about NASDAQ compliance. I could probably just Google it and see. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're trying to do here, is maintain compliance.
Okay. Yeah, I liked it too, by the way, Big Hurt. Reverse splitting up in here. I liked it a lot. We'll probably have to go back to that. I'm glad you caught that. That's good stuff. All right. By the way, BATL is open. This moved lower. It's trying to hold on to its 65 EMA. There is one more stock that I wanted to cover. Lion's been banging the table on it. We've traded it before and we've talked about it before. This is going to be ticker INDO. Lion, do me a favor. I saw that you just kept telling me to look it up. Go ahead and throw some context in here while I'm breaking it down and having 13 break break it down so the group can also get your thoughts here on INDO. We obviously saw this pop yesterday, like we saw with all of these oil stocks. It really gave back everything, but it did find some support at 6, and it traded off that into the after hours, and it's holding above 7 here today in the pre-market. I don't think there was any news specific to this other than the thematic news that we have been discussing here. This was all here from yesterday. Quick peek at the short interest on this name. 7.84% of the float shorted, 1 day to cover. Average 100-day volume, 1.7 million shares. Today, 2.2 million so far versus a float of 9.52 million. 13. Any thoughts on INDO, chart or otherwise? Might we draw a trend line from yesterday's pre-markets through today's?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good start. I'm not an expert in oil and gas, so I would defer to somebody who is. But I'm just wondering if we're seeing this movement here with oil and gas exploration. Are these stocks rising because there's now this consensus that we should probably be looking for alternatives other than the Middle East, because this is an Indonesian energy explorer. So anybody that's an energy expert, I mean, is this kind of what you're seeing here? Is that because of the conflict in Iran, the attempted shuttering of the Strait of Hormuz, does this help? Does this give a lift to some of the other oil and gas exploration companies that are operate in different regions of the world? Just kind of wondering. I don't have any thoughts really beyond that.
Okay, we'll wait for Lion's breakdown here, but here's a look at the chart, the trend line that we need to get over. Giddy up. All right.
Yeah.
Is there any other? Oh, here we go. Lion, if this is not safe for work and I read something that's offensive, I'm going to be pissed. I'm thinking that the Asians gas and oil producers and Australian oil company will do well since they are far from the Middle East. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and that's perfectly reasonable. Thank you, Lion.
So, because we are, like I said, they're Indonesian. I think they've got some exploration projects they've got going on, like the Kra block and the Satarian block. I don't know where these are. But they're also exploring a third area known as the Rangkas area. Now, I don't know where these are, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the oceanic region.
Okay. All right. Good stuff here. Anne-Marie saying alternative energy catching a bid also. And then here, and since we have time here offshore, you had asked for this and we're out of time. We might as well, or we're out of movers, excuse me. We might as well take a look at this. Off hamster wheel. What a handle. Off the hamster wheel. We can't wait to get off the hamster wheel here, but that's anyway. Laser. This is ticker LASR. This is Enlight. This actually had a fairly decent day yesterday. We popped in the pre-market. We dropped right out of the open, but we ended up getting bought back up. Now, yesterday in the after hours, we broke that, traded higher. Today, it looks like we tried to do that again. And guess what, 13? I see another trend line forming here. And I drew it poorly, but here you go. So this would be one of the things that we're looking to actually break down through. Let's take a look and see if there was any news here. This was from yesterday. Yeah, this was from yesterday morning, so nothing fresh from overnight. A quick peek at the short interest on this name, 4.33% of the float shorted with 1.31 days to cover. On average, this trades 1.13 million shares, only done 212,000 here today, so not a huge mover yet. And the float here is 53.6 million. 13, any quick thoughts on LASR?
The candle yesterday is quite an interesting one. Could indicate there's more upside to be had, or it could indicate that this is a top. With the price being above, it's probably not indicating a top. This could be a dragonfly doji, indicating more upside, even though it's not really where I prefer it to be at the top of a rally. So we'll see what ends up happening if this climbs up. But I have reservations about this going a whole lot higher. This has been a very nice move up, just kind of a steady increase since the middle of last year. I really can't make I'm not interested in making any predictions about what happens to this, but I'd be concerned about this running out of steam.
Okay,
I know that's going to bring back AOI, but I'd rather be talking about concerns I have about there being a top than saying, oh yeah, we should just pile into this and have everybody get wiped out. So just going to put that out there. I I think this is a little extended.
Okay, really good breakdown. One comment I want to highlight here, Brian saying, still holding a beast of a CL long trade. It's not often I have conviction like this. Brian, there's a lot in this very, seemingly simple comment. First of all, congrats on holding that. I'm going to refrain from giving you a register ring because I want absolutely no part of potentially jinxing your trade. You tell me when it's closed. We'll go ahead and do the celebratory victory lap at that time. But the other thing that he's highlighting here, not often I have conviction like this. Well, you don't need to have conviction like that every single day. What's important is that when you do feel really strongly about something, that you end up playing that. Remember, we were just talking to Derrick Oldensmith earlier here today, and he kind of made the case for that too, right? You want to put yourself in a situation where the risk reward, or I think he called it the asymmetric setup or something like that, is really in your favor, and then you want to hit it. So, Brian, it doesn't matter that you don't often have it. What matters is that when you do have it, you capitalized on it. This reminds me of Ondas. For a long time, I was getting Rochambeaued by that stock, and my conviction remained, and here we are. Now we're starting to reap the benefits of that. So good stuff, good patience, good discipline. Let me know, and we will do the victory lap together. Okay, we are less than a minute till we open. I'm going to flip over to the main chart. What do you got, 13?
Jay was just mentioning EOPSF. This is a optical name in Australia. They look like they are, turning profitable here. They had a good quarter last quarter. They reported profitability, but I don't know anything about this company, but it's very interesting. We're open.
We are open here. Okay, S&P futures open here at minus 0.67%. The first tick is up. I would be careful with this. If you're going to trade any of this stuff, just be nimble. Don't get yourself in a position where you're like, oh, darn, now I've really put myself in a bad position. If you're unsure what to do, it's okay being patient. That's totally fine.
Yep. Maybe wait the first 15 minutes or so if you need. Oil was higher before even the rand started. Now you add more fuel to the fire, so we are going higher. There's a real need for China for this to not get out of control, because they kind of rely on these cheaper fuel prices from Iran. So and they get up to half of their energy from this, the Strait of Hormuz through other countries. So it's in China's interest to not let this get out of hand. And I already know that they're talking with. They're talking with the leadership to keep the strait open because they need it. Big drop with TPET. Right down to the 65 EMA and recaptured the VWAP here. Not sure where this is gonna go.
Yep. I was just going to say that actually all happened while you were talking right there. And also there is a bit of a gap here that we traded into. I didn't take this, but this was actually a pretty decent setup. Came into a support level there and a gap. We'll see if it can hold it. I would have, if I were to have taken this trade, I would have my stop at $1.60. $1.60. Okay, let's see where we're at. Let's take a look real quick at the SPY, see what we're looking like 1 minute after the open. So far, it does look like we've held on to 674 here today. We are trying right now to trade back above the 65 EMA on the 5. We'll see if the SPY has the strength to do that.
TPET all over the place. It's going above 2. It's going beneath 2. Not sure where. I'm just kind of watching this right now because it seems like this is getting the most price action. At the moment, I haven't looked at anything else, but this is whipping around, so it's kind of got me locked in on the action. Okay. I need to move on. GXAI, this also sold out of the open. That's trying to rebound. Hasn't recaptured some of these smaller EMAs yet. ZD kind of sideways. We did open a little bit, or we did go a little bit lower, but we're right back to where the sideways consolidation was in the pre-market. NPT, this looks like it's still continuing lower. Indo is coming in.
GXAI, this also came into the fair value gap that we took a look at. We'll see if it has the strength here. This too, I know it's kind of a low price stock, so depending on your position size, maybe you can set a stop there at the bottom of the gap. We'll see here. GXAI, nice little bounce so far. That also coincides with the 65 EMA, so that's so far been a theme here in a couple of these names. on. So this actually reported earnings here today. They were trading lower after their Q4 results. This is trying to trade up off that bottom. I don't love anything here, and I also think strategically waiting out the first 15 minutes is really going to help me from getting caught in something that is just a head fake. Palo Alto at the highs, Palantir at the highs, Costco at the highs, Netflix at the highs. Apple, interestingly, pulled back. And Izzy, how you doing? Amazon actually looks like that's trying to trade, trying to bounce here at the opening of trade. We'll see if we can get above the pre-market high here, 204.75.
NPT, with its first green candle in a while, I mean, it was just selling off all pre-market after it hit 1150. We'll see if
I see what your issue was. It's not in the selector, but it is in there if you click on it. What a strange little edge case, 13. No.
Yeah, I'm full of
them. And it doesn't send it to my link chart. Sad trombone. Okay, well, we'll do our best here to take a look at that. Okay, Jammin asking if MDB is a reversal trade. Now, MDB is down nearly 30% here. I'll be honest, just looking at the chart and the price action here, Jammin, this is something that I would kind of wait. I would hearken back to what Mark Petrino has been telling us about when you're trying to catch some of these bounces. The better play is not necessarily catch the falling knife, unless, of course, you have chainmail gloves. But rather than that, wait for this to confirm its bottom. So is it a reversal trade? Well, I would say let's wait and see until it shows us it's a reversal trade. In the meantime, one of the things that we can do is try and take a look for some other support levels. Looks like we had a gap here on the daily that is about to get filled down here at about 218. Also have kind of a consolidation area around the same level.
Yeah, we had a bit of a double bottom here on this daily chart, the bottom being about 136, 135, somewhere right in there, I think. Maybe 140. I'm not sure. I'm kind of really backed out right now, but it looks like
it's 150-ish.
Yeah.
I have it here on the daily. It's about 150.
It looks like it's kind of double bottom there. I'm wondering if we end up testing that for a third time down at that area, because we did lose some pretty key levels here, and we're coming down to some support. I think $200 is going to be one of your next big support areas. Not that it's just a psychological level, but it's also a breakout level from 2020. This was an area where it was getting stuck on 185 for a while, finally broke through 200, and it held above there until 2022. So, maybe there's another test of this bottom coming.
Okay, Retro here saying it's so painful seeing COP in the 120s after selling it at 104. My question would be, did you have common that you could have held on to? Remember, I also took a COP trade earlier this year, but I had February expiration on those calls. So the prices that it's currently at wasn't possible anyway on that trade. Still ended up selling that for about 100%. But I think you'll get another opportunity here. Also, several of you are mentioning buy the dips in gold and silver. And when I say several of you, I mean Lion is yelling as loud as he can. And I mean that endearingly. You've been right on this trade, just to be clear. Gold here actually rolling over and looking to test the pre-market lows, and that's via GLD. Let's take a look at SLV and see how that's doing. I'll tell you what, the move yesterday in silver felt like somebody really was trying to get out of this. Looks like silver so far doing its best to hold on to 72.50. But if you folks have levels for this, I'm interested.
Battle is halted again. Now it's halted after, and it says it's suspended. It might just be a halt on volatility because we were getting a recovery here after holding the 65 EMA. Don't know exactly what's going to happen out of this halt, but if you look at a daily chart, make sure you can back out all the way to 2020. Tell me what you see.
Oh, the suspense is killing me here. The suspense is killing me.
All right. See if you can go to a weekly. Oh, gosh, you don't have 2020.
Yeah, I do, though.
No,
June 2020.
You don't have December. Oh, sorry. You don't have 2019, December 2019, when we had this spike that took it up to $19. Basically, there's a trend line here that if this price action we're getting continues, the price may end up finding resistance around 32.
Okay, so the TLDR there, possible resistance here at 32 on battle. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about how this got an offering. It didn't get hammered too badly, but we'll see what ends up happening out of this. If this continues to try to push up, we'll be hitting some of the pre-market levels because we did get up to 35. So.
Okay, and real quick here, Christoph saying done for the day, up 8.48%, but almost had a heart attack. Okay, oops, that's the wrong one. I actually meant this one. So registering there. Sorry, Admiral Akbar. We don't want anyone to have a heart attack here. So Christoph, I'm glad you're able to avoid that. Enjoy the rest of your day. Decompress, buddy. Apple went green. Indeed, it did. So that dip immediately got bought. Boy, Jay, that happened fast. And actually, SPY continuing to trade up here. S&P futures near the pre-market highs now, only down 1.4%. SPY actually a pretty nice reversal off 674.10. Did not play that low.
We really opened that low, huh? Because remember, we've been seeing the dip buyers underneath 680. They've been stepping up and
Well, we're gonna see if they step up again.
Battle's unhalted. We went. Looks like we tested this consolidation area in the low 670s. Need to see a recapture of at least 676 and hold above it. If we can continue to pull back above 680, sideways we continue to go. But this is the lowest print. These are the lowest prints we've had all year.
Okay. Real quick here, Jammin. It looks like MDB is trying to bounce. It's actually bounced 8 points from the 229.60 low. I'm not in it. I don't feel great about it, but you asked, it's bouncing.
Yeah, the spread's still quite large on this.
Oh, yeah.
Be careful.
Oh, yeah. Again, just to kind of reiterate here, if you're like Brian or Derrick and you have conviction on a particular setup, that's one thing. But if you feel as if you're unsure, not the day to gamble. And if you feel as if you must, because you're working with profits and you want some action, I think think about your downside first. Protect the downside prior to stacking chips to the upside.
Yeah, I'm just looking around and there's really nothing that looks great. Wow, what happened with Laser, LASR? We were just looking at that and that just dropped right out of the gate. It gave back the entire day and more.
Rustam, MBOX, we can take a look at that here in a sec. I swear if that's a penny stock.
Battle still trying to push back up to 29. GXAI getting support from the 65 EMA. TPET. This is, been whipping around, but still kind of, sideways. ZD also sideways, hasn't really done much. NPT, this is, after we got that green reversal candle out of the gate down at the 65 EMA, it's been holding above the VWAP. Let's see if it can get through, I guess we'll say 8. I like 775, but 8 would be the next area as well.
MobX, Rustam, here is your MobX. This is indeed a penny stock yet again. This thing has really just been kind of flagging up here, but we've lost the VWAP at 46 cents. I will see if there's news here. I'm not trading this. Indeed, it secures significant U.S. Navy Tomahawk missile component order as production accelerates. I would look into this. That's definitely good news given what's going on right now. I just don't know if this stock is a pretender or not. I don't think that it is.
NPT trying to push through that resistance area I just mentioned, the 775, $8 area. It's where some of these EMAs are, the 9 and the 15. See a little more volume. I say a little bit, probably need a significantly more volume, but trying to push through this area.
Brian here saying Ryan's disgust for penny stocks keeps me going. Well, I'm glad it keeps you going instead of keeping you from coming here. I'll just say this. My disgust is not necessarily with the stock. My disgust is with what these stocks normally do. I've been taken for a ride. The last thing that I want to do is being like, hey, this looks really good. This looks really good, only to have people get hurt from that. I've seen that more often with some of these penny names than anything else. So again, that's just kind of why.
MPT still.
That SPY bounce, this is exactly why I was saying, hey, today might not be a carbon copy of yesterday, and also might want to wait out the beginning. That little pop there, sure, if you traded it and you made money, great, but it happened fast. Now it looks like we're going to roll over, retest. Well, we actually just tested 674. 672.50, your pre-market low. See if we end up reaching that to the downside.
Yeah, CDIO, this looks like it's having trouble getting back up to 6. That candle from Friday looked a little bit like a reversal candle. Certainly we did go lower yesterday, but we're trying to come back up. So 6 looks like the next resistance area in CDIO.
Okay.
NPT, this is still looking pretty good. We're at that 775 resistance. Let's see if we can get through 8. I don't know how great this is going to be for the rest of the day, but it's looking pretty good right now.
Dream Chaser said, check stack. Here is stack. This is STAK. This actually had a fairly decent day yesterday, and check out what I see here on this chart. I see arts and crafts time here for sure. I think if I kind of want to draw this, I kind of want to change this drawing around a little bit though. I want to do this just because it's so much cleaner. This might give us a target here. That target's going to be right above 150. I got it at about 163.
So this stack is basically a lot of the infrastructure kind of picks and shovels company services, right? I mean, it looks like they develop oil fields, produce equipment, right? Equipment. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Stack, but that's kind of what it looks like this is.
And then really quickly here, Retro, this is another good mention. We commented on this yesterday. I haven't mentioned it yet today. Bitcoin, not as happy as yesterday. And 13, shout out to you, because yesterday we talked about Bitcoin really kind of being one of these risk on versus risk off indicators. Bitcoin showed us most of the day yesterday it was risk on. We're getting the opposite of that today.
Battles unhalted, still kind of pretty much sideways, not able to get back above 28 and close it above it.
ITA is straight down. By the way, just a recap on some of the positions. I told you that I also had defend calls yesterday. The defend calls being shorter dated were my trading position. I closed those out at 100% as it looked like defend wasn't going to run. Hang on to ITA. ITA here today, big time pullback down 2.73%. Still in the green on that trade.
Some names from yesterday having a little bit more upside. TMDE, that's TMD Energy Limited. This is up 18, almost 19%. And then Turbo, TURB. This, I think this was the one we were calling turd yesterday. This one getting some support from the 120s, and we're trying to push higher, but we haven't gotten up to the pre-market high of 172 yet. It's still a little ways away. Looks like there could be resistance around 155.
Hey, check that out. Turb actually bounced off the fair value gap pretty well yesterday and then held throughout the rest of the day. Don't have anything for you here today on that. And MDB, by the way, is continuing. So,
Jay, if you're out there, we got another one of these Spring Valley Acquisition Corp companies to show up on the exchange. SVIV IPO'd, I think it was yesterday. It looks like it was yesterday. And this is, if you recall, this is the acquisition company that's trying to bring a lot of these nuclear names to market. They brought SMR to market. They brought NUCL that just recently went through the merger. That one's still de-SPACing. The Spring Valley Acquisition Corp 3, that's supposed to be merging with I think a company called General Fusion. Let me double check my notes here. And then this one just came out yesterday. They're looking to, General Fusion. That's supposed to merge by mid-2026. The ticker will be GFUZ, GFuzz. And then this one, SVIV, this is looking to merge with another nuclear power company. They're focused on power infrastructure and decarbonization industries. But all of the other three have been, either fission or fusion. So I'm thinking that's what we're going to probably end up seeing here with this latest one. Didn't know if you had looked at it yet, but certainly one to keep an eye on, because as we've seen with these SPACs, once they announce a company that they've selected, it tends to go on a bit of a run before we start to see it drop off going into the merger.
I've avoided SPACs since the nuclear blow up. That makes a lot of sense. Really quickly here, Trout Bum mentioning EDSA is moving, and indeed it is, up nearly 40%. We had an open market buy by the CEO yesterday, Pardeep Nijhawan. Pardeep Nijhawan bought at 196, spent about 100 grand, bought 60,000 shares. So EDSA here, this is actually a pretty decent move right out of the open. Not on this, though. MDB, that bounce looks like that was very short-lived. We basically traded right up to the top end of the pre-market range. So far, not showing the strength to break out of this range and break the structure and go higher.
Trout Bum, that's a shiny turd you got yesterday.
Oh, geez.
Well, he got 11% off turb.
Okay, well.
That's a shiny
better than minus 11%. Am I right?
Yeah.
Apparently, we have a birthday. We have a group birthday here, Retro Texas.
Hey, happy birthday from another
Texan. We got a couple of Texans in here. I need you guys one day to just show up in big cowboy hats. Just big time, like legit Texan cowboy hats. That's what we need one day.
You want me to just like come on and start talking like John Wayne and shit?
I mean, maybe, maybe. We'll see. All right. S&P
got a gap up here.
Continuing to push down here. So we are at the lows. So very, very clearly not a repeat of yesterday. So far, so good. VIX here sitting at 2642 and Bitcoin also at the morning lows. Get those lists ready for the stocks that you want to add at lower prices.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. We're getting a lot of opportunity here.
This is what we have been waiting for. MDB, by the way, might be trying for another possible break of structure on the pre-market chart. A silver, this is rolling over and retesting the lows. Let me go to GXAI. Good mention.
Yeah, I see Wes is just mentioning that as well. This just came right up to this 130 resistance area that we've been trying to recapture since we lost it at 805 this morning. Given a little bit more volume, we might be able to get back over that. So I think, as was pointed out, GXAI watching, we could see some movement here.
Okay, watch that 130 snap there. We'll see. Rustam's penny stock still holding in that same range. I'd watch for a break of 41 to the downside, and conversely, maybe 52 or 55 to the upside. At the top of the list in terms of volume. SOXL and TQQQ would be your next two volume leaders. Those look like they might be curling up here.
Buffalo by bicycle. Deep in the heart of Texas.
Okay. We've got some singing going on. I told you we were going to have a good day on Tuesday. Started off with a bang here.
Battalion trying to make its way up to 30. Be careful of the spread.
BRAI. I don't know what's going on there. You said BATL, right?
Yep.
Battle?
Yep, it's held at 65 EMA following the offering. We got a couple of halts. Now we're trying to push back up. Keep in mind that that trend that I drew, that's going to take us, which could take us up to 32. We have a pre-market high of 35. Not off the table.
Okay. What's RCAT doing here? Oh, that's not RCAT. I'm pretty sure I clicked on RCAT, though. LOL. RCAT actually having a pretty good day. It's up 15% above yesterday's intraday high. RCAT doing well. Did we have any news specific to RCAT? Nope.
No, I just think that...
outperforming, though. This is outperforming Ondas today.
AMPX. This was...
That's the battery play for drones, right?
This opened lower after it came in overnight. Been seeing some pretty good price action out of the gate here so far. We had a nice up move followed by 3 down ones, and now this hold pattern here should resolve to the upside. We should see a price as beyond 1155. We'll see if we end up getting that. Really needs to see an increase in volume too.
Okay, so I was just saying, get your lists out here. Lion refining that and adding a little bit more context to that. In a bloody day like this, I'm selling puts on some great quality stocks and buying leap calls. So it sounds to me like what you would be doing, right? You're selling some of those puts to collect the premium up front and then rolling that premium into some long calls, effectively giving you double leverage if you're doing that on the same stock there. But this makes a lot of sense on a day like today, Lion. WIS also calling for watch the reversal in Ruby. I don't see where this is reversing from, but WIS does, and we're starting to put in a green candle here on the 5.
I mean, I think maybe go to like a longer term, not like a daily, but like a
15-minute.
Yeah, because we're coming down to a lot of sideways consolidation right where this area is. So I think that's where the support could be coming. So you look even further to the left. I mean, you'll see that this is, there you go. Good consolidation period there. I think that's where he's getting some of the support from. I could be wrong about that, but that's what it looks like to me. There's also the 15. So on the 15-minute chart, you also have the 200 EMA that we're bouncing right off of right now.
Indeed, that value 115. Dara saying, I'm loving today. So many buying opportunities. Dara, that is the right attitude to have. That is it.
All right. So it looks like ZD pushed slightly higher. And now we have a new session high. Where does this end up going to? I don't know how much, more upside this is going to be.
No attempt to pull back to the fair value gap that we outlined.
This is the one that's selling the media business for 1.2 billion. They have the high short interest as well. Maybe we get up to, I have a trend line that could take us up to about 48.50. We'll see if that ends up happening. What else is looking good?
Russ, ATL Russ, good morning. He had mentioned earlier, I didn't get to it, but he had mentioned earlier here, Astus was trading up. This actually traded up towards the after hours high yesterday. What happened in the after hour?
I don't know if there was news I didn't.
Yeah, there was here. It provides a business update for the fourth quarter and full year results. Had an EPS 26-cent loss that missed the 15-cent loss estimate, and sales came in higher, 54.3 million, beat the 41.1 million estimate.
Let's see here.
Those earnings here on Astus. This is up 3.2%. Lion, victory lapping the SQQQ trade. Let me ask you, Lion, given I know that you've been extremely bearish here, so I'm just wondering, where is the target, if at all, for this? And I'm pretty sure that you were adding this on the way down yesterday, right? Because you were calling for the market to sell off, and we finally got it here today. So it seems to me like you held this overnight. Let me know what your target is here on SQQQ for the exit, if you have one.
So with ASTS, don't like that EPS miss. I guess this sales reflects some of the contracts they've been getting. I haven't looked through their earnings report, but we needed to start seeing some of these the contracting revenue show up. That might be what this is. Also has some pretty high short interest too, I think. Days to cover isn't there, but the short interest, 19.5%. We're going to get some extra moves here.
Okay. All right, Lion, good stuff. Let me know what the target is there for the group. Ondas 12 calls getting bought on the pullback. That was the range that was carved out yesterday. We actually traded above 12 there. ZD. ARM calls, Donkey Kong calls. What do you have, ZD?
ZD finally pushing up some more after a little sideways action out of the gate. We're finally getting some more movement here. Wouldn't you know it, we got that around 9:45, about 15 minutes after the market opened. It's almost like if you waited, you'd get better movement. That's to your point, Ryan.
Yeah, no, I got it. I'm just letting it breathe there. JJ's asking, guys, how can Battle be $27 if the offering was $5.50? I would again hearken back to Mark Petrino here. What this price is not a representation of the fundamentals of the company. Rather the emotions of traders This thing absolutely ripped up to 35. I would guarantee that there are short-term traders in this that don't care much about that and are looking to try and play the momentum here. Otherwise, I would say that just got bought up real quickly. Now I have no indication that it's closed or finished or anything like that, but that would just be a guess here. Just because they offer there at 550 doesn't mean the price is going to go there right off the bat.
Well, that's
check in a week. Let's see where we're at.
I was going to say that's a good point because they're going to commence a 15 million stock offering. I don't know. I didn't look to see when that is, if that's happening today or the offering is expected to close on March 4th, subject to customary closing conditions. So this hasn't happened yet. That's why you're not seeing it, down there. We haven't had the solution event yet. This is just an announcement. So say thank you that they're kind of, letting you know about this and not hitting you with it after the fact. I think that tomorrow we're probably going to see some potential downside.
All right. And then real quick, don't forget, we do have Anne-Marie coming up here in about 31 minutes. Let me know if you guys have any guys and gals, have any earnings plays that you want to go over. As a reminder, here's a look at the earnings chart for what we're expecting here today. I think the most notable thing, at least here for today, we have GitLab, CrowdStrike, and Ross Stores tonight. Remember, we got MDB here already. We also got Best Buy, which we can take a look at. But GitLab here tonight, Box also here tonight. And then looking ahead this week, we've got Okta after the close tomorrow, as well as Broadcom. Where's Jay Harris? On Thursday, we have Marvell and Costco. And do we have anything in the morning there? CIEN, Sienna's in the morning. BJ Wholesalers there is in the morning. Burlington Coat Factory or whatever it's called now, that's their AMPX, which we were just talking about. That reports earnings Thursday morning. So here's a look at your earnings chart. Start thinking about any trades that you want Anne-Marie to put together for the group here off of that chart.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Drop. I use dude as well as an all-inclusive term.
Okay.
I like how Ryan's like giving us some really serious information. I'm over here making sure we're on the same page with Drop in terms.
Yeah, look, you got to do what you got to do here. You got to do what you got to do.
Compelling information. So
here's Target. They reported earnings. They're up by about 4%.
Oh, really? What's their price now?
117. Looks like 120 area was stopping it. We also talked about Best Buy.
Oh, they guided well too. Looks like they got it above the mid-range. So what is this? This looks like margins are improving. 500-day SMA. That's kind of where I'd pin the resistance. Look at the last time we hit it. Back in January of last year. We rejected, didn't see it since.
USEG is trying to push above its pre-market highs here.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. ALB, not off of 200. Well, it's off of 200, but we're losing some levels now. Yeah, I don't see ALB at 200 right now. We're at 160, but we hit it.
Wasn't you weren't you talking about selling it up there? I feel like.
I've been selling into the strength, and I'm going to continue selling this until I'm completely unwound. I'm almost done.
Yeah, let me ask you, what price is a reload price for you?
Probably somewhere down around 120. There's consolidation from 2023 and 2024 that's interesting there, but it's really going to depend on the environment at the time. I don't even know that we'll get down there from this pullback or this corrective move. So because I'm still in sell mode, so need to wait for some more attractive prices. But it looks like 120 could be interesting, but I'm not sure if that's where I'll buy.
Okay. How about you, Jay?
No, Jay, I've been selling it into 200. Yeah, I did sell some up there, but that was my price target that I've had since last year. I am still have a little bit more because I'm looking for long-term gains, and I can take all those off the table now if I want.
How about you, Jay? What price do you like Albemarle again? Let us know.
Here we go with Pet. I'm just going to call it T-Pet.
Yep, that works for me. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I've been looking for 200 since last year. This was all based on lithium prices rising and demand for batteries rising. And then I got a biscuit of good news when China's I forget which mine it was, but they decided to stop lithium mining in one region, and that started the rally. And the rest is history. The demand has continued to increase, and 200 was the target. We got it. Oh, I appreciate it, Jay. Thank you.
Big order here. These are the 140 calls for Dell. 1.91 million spent on that trade. I can't tell if that's closing though. $6 in the money. I don't know.
Daniel, we're trying to get above $2 right now. I'd like to see a recapture of $2 because if we get that and hold above it, then I think we can take out we can maybe even try for 225, which is up near the pre-market high. So need to see a recapture of $2 here.
Okay. Replay Game Lab. Brian, I started watching what I think is a new documentary by Nova. Nova does really good work on some of those on Göbekli Tepe. What I watched had a ton of good information. I will see if I can find that. I actually can't wait to see if Mark did any studying on that and has some discussion about it. That would be interesting. But I appreciate that. The Nova production on Göbekli Tepe. I'll look for that. I will look for that. Okay. Is anything setting up? I know we've done a really good job covering what's moving here. I don't know if there's necessarily any setup. Do have CrowdStrike earnings here tonight. How's that doing ahead of its print? A little bit. Okay, a little bit softer here, but it did try to rebound.
Yeah, still waiting for that move over 30 in battalion. Remember, this one is going to close that offering tomorrow. So that's, maybe if you're trading this one, it might not be a good idea to hold this into tomorrow or certainly not the next day. But you have the information. You make your own decisions. You're all adults. This is going to be diluting the shares by the close of tomorrow. All right, let's see.
Yeah, I'm looking around here at some stuff as well, seeing if I can find anything good for you.
Yeah, I'm just looking around for something here. It doesn't look like anything's really super interesting.
Yeah, I don't have anything fresh here. Sorry about that.
ZD still looking like this wants to try and test that trend line. I'm sure you could even draw it. You've got the chart there. You can see it on there. It's the 740 high and the 820 high.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just threw through those two, and that's where we're headed. That'd be the next resistance. Now, do we break out of there? I don't know. But with the MACD curling up as indicating momentum is trying to swing to the upside, we could.
Bob saying I traded battle between 9 and 21. That leads me to believe that your trade is closed for a profit. So we're going to give you a register ring on that one. Let's go.
And if I were, you do it how you want. But if I were you, I'd say thank you very much. I'm not touching this one for now because that's a fantastic trade on a stock that's about to dilute its shares.
Team Bob has all the money. Repeated, Bob has all the money.
Good old Uncle Bob.
Good job, Bob.
TMDE, you want me to look at, Suprick?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay, let's see. Do I even have that on here anymore?
Bob's done. Enjoy your day, brother.
So TMDE.
Two tests coming up here on. Oh, this is TPET. Sorry, TMDE. Why didn't the chart change?
I don't know.
There you go.
TMDE drawing a trend line from the pre-market high yesterday through the pre-market high today. That would kind of give me a bit of a resistance, but potential breakout area. You got to look at the pre-market from yesterday as well.
Gotcha.
There it is. You see it? Do you see it? You see the trend line?
I think so. We're looking at this to this.
Yeah.
I wish that. I don't know why it's not. Dude, you have got to be kidding me. I think this is what you're trying to do. Sorry it took so long.
Yeah, and then you could even draw one on the underside, and we have a bit of a symmetrical triangle there. So, I mean, it could literally be in either direction. But as we're coming up here, looks to me like the 420, 425 is going to be the resistance area, potentially a breakout if the volume's good enough. I think that once we get up to this trend line here, look at what the volume's doing. If it's not great, likely get rejected. If it's building up and starting to expand, then you may get a breakthrough.
Joe here saying, Bob's your uncle. Somewhere Anne Marie is probably blushing as you're using her one-liners now. Love it. That's the ultimate sign of respect.
Now, T-Pet, this one. Okay, there it goes.
It didn't even wait for you to talk about it.
Nope.
Get wrecked.
Nope. I was just going to say, well, T-Pet here looks like it's trying to get over 2, and then it just did
and then
that.
Bang, right through 2. Okay, market here looking like it's trying to push a little bit lower. We are beneath the pre-market lows. We are not getting what feels like a get out of the way capitulation sell move. Instead, it actually looks like it's trying to put in some firmness there. I don't know that it will. Don't know that I trust it either. Just saying.
I don't like the way this looks on the SPY.
No, neither do I.
This looks like we're going to be going lower.
It does look like that. I guess what I'm highlighting here is we're not just plunging lower. Not yet, knock on wood.
No, I don't think
if we do go lower again, I think one of the big things is you have your list ready. Yeah. Have your list ready and have your plan ready as well.
Mm-hmm. That's what I would think.
It does feel orderly, Buffalo by Bicycle. I would agree with that. It feels very, very orderly. And Marie, I'd be curious to get your opinion on that, by the way.
Still looking for 130 in GXAI. Seller on the way at 128 and at 130. ZD still slightly putting in some higher highs. MACD is still indicating that it could be curling up to an acceleration of momentum. So let's see what happens here at the top of this trend line. Ruby still beneath the 200 EMA, hasn't been able to recapture. INDO all beneath all of the EMAs, and VWAP not sure if this is recovering or not. It might get rejected. It's some prices higher up into the 6 handle. Battalion waiting for this to burst over 30. Looks like 29 might also be a bit of a resistance area, but 20 looks like 30 is the spot we need to get over here.
Kathy's asking if there's a rotation into gold. What does our gold look like here? I don't know that we would say that yet. Newmont, is that one of Lion's favorite gold mining stocks?
I like Newmont.
Pounded. I don't know that we're seeing that rotation next. Could there be? Sure.
Well, let's see here.
No on gold, says Anne Marie. There you go.
We saw gold and silver. I think they were like outperforming Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
But Bitcoin
for the year, right?
Well, when they were rallying, I don't recall them really Bitcoin really rallying with gold and silver. It wasn't necessarily. Let me before I say something dumb, let me look at the Bitcoin chart.
Anne Marie here saying regarding gold, no on gold. Kathy, fair point. Not necessarily today, but in a few weeks here. So Anne Marie, I'm just kind of blending what you two ladies are saying here together. Anne Marie saying waiting for more of a dip. So, I mean, maybe we do get that over the next few weeks. But what level is that where maybe gold and silver slow down a little bit to the downside? Dollar is up sharp indeed. I remember I thought the dollar was going to zero. I heard from the talking heads and the panicans.
So
you look
at a chart like SLV, and toward the end of November, we started rallying, and that's when with Bitcoin we started going sideways and then eventually lower in January as we had this was like the second leg of the metals, the precious metals. When Bitcoin started going down, that's when the second leg took place. So now they're both kind of consolidating, going sideways right now. If you look at daily charts for both, that's kind of what it seems like they're doing. They're just kind of both going sideways.
Jay's just out here throwing daggers at folks. Oh, Jay. Ruby, which this just brings back Fifth Element. I can't help it. Ruby rolling over her new lows. Wiss, I hope you're all right.
Getting a mention from Michael DeSoto about BRKB. This is one of the names that I like on the shipping insurance side. They do own a lot of insurance companies. So following, whenever this conflict ends, and if rates are still high, this could be a good name to own. For the high insurance rates. Now, I don't know when that we don't have an end date in this conflict, so not looking at this yet. I did like this when I owned this, but kind of been sideways for a while.
There's a comment here.
And then Black Sky by Rich and Debit.
Real quick, let me just tie these two things here together. Jesse Cherry, what's on sale for a long-term hold? Let me just kind of frame this in terms of Berkshire. The fact that we're down here near what looks like a support level, is this something that you'd be looking to add when it goes on sale for long-term? I'd open that up to the group too, but I'm asking you specifically, 13.
I haven't owned this since I sold it when it was it was like sometime in 2024 when I sold this, but I don't have a target for entry yet. Maybe down under somewhere under 400, because that's looking like that might provide some better stability underneath 400, like maybe around 350. But I don't have a particular entry target for this.
Okay.
I'd still want to wait for this to come back insignificantly.
Okay, so Jesse, it looks like at least with this name, we're waiting for some more downside here. I would say, I don't necessarily have like a list ready for you, but if you have ones that you want to take a look at, let us know. By the way, SPY trying to bounce here. Again, this is part of the orderly move down. Doesn't feel like a, oh shit, fill up your diaper, get out of the way, sell everything type moment. Doesn't feel like that so far. Noticing that MUD is on the scanner here. This is the MU Bear 1X ETF. So perhaps some of those memory names also coming back to earth. SanDisk down nearly 8%. This at the pre-market lows. TMDE bounced off its VWAP. Good call, Wiss. I'm sorry I'm getting to this a little bit late. This is the one that we have this triangle on that we're looking to break from.
Yeah, I don't know that we've necessarily experienced the real pain yet, because I'm looking at a Micron chart. We're coming down to the 50-day SMA. We've never really broken down beneath that since we started this rally. So that could be an indicator. If we start closing underneath the 50-day SMA and are not able to recapture it, that might be an indication that further downside is coming, and it could be more robust downside.
Buffalo by Bicycle. How did you know I was wearing a diaper? We just know some things, We just know some things. And as another reminder here, we are going to have Anne-Marie coming up in 14 minutes. So if there are stocks that you would like to see an options trade potentially set up on, or you just want her crispy technical analysis that she does, get those stocks ready. We're going to be moving over there in about 14 minutes.
Yeah, Daniel, that's one of the things I was mentioning earlier, that China really needs that Strait of Hormuz to stay open, because they get about half their oil from that region, right through that strait. So this is really bad for China's economy if they have any slowdown there for a prolonged period of time.
India too, right? This is something Anne-Marie was discussing yesterday.
It's going to affect markets globally, but I don't know it's going to affect India as heavily as it's going to affect China, because I don't know what percentage of energy imports come through the Strait of Hormuz for India as a percentage, but for China it's significant. So it's certainly good. It's going to affect everybody, but I don't know to what extent with India. I would expect that it's not nearly as much as it is China.
Some of those Chinese ships appear to be getting through, which is no surprise.
Mm-hmm.
ZD, that actually kept going here.
Yep, just really slow mover.
Just shy of that trend line.
ITRI is Jay's value play. It's a grid play. We were just looking at one yesterday, or I was. Let me see if I can find that. And we'll look at both. Is that's interesting about, however, just looking at something about grid plays. Is this it? No. Hold on, give me a second here, because I got a response from some of these things here. One name I was looking at was Sunbelt Rental Holdings. That was a new IPO yesterday. But we'll probably talk about this tonight.
Okay.
Happy hour.
Cool.
Still trying to find this this other stock that I was looking at here. So I do like that, the grid plays.
Ondas, big pull here at the lows, now down 6%. Some of those stocks that also spiked out of the open, they've rolled lower here. VIX at 27.
AMSC, I think it is. I think this is the one. AMSC, American Superconductor. I know this has been on here for a while, but so here's what I've got with this. I was looking for names that had products used in vessel propulsion arrest or disability. We're talking about the Strait of Hormuz and how we might want to arrest or disable some of the ships going in or out of there. But I was looking into that, and some of the usual defense names came up, but then this one, AMSC, also did. They had earnings about a month ago and reported a non-cash tax benefit of $113 million from a valuation release on a deferred tax asset. So that could mean that revenue growth going forward is expected to increase if they're looking to offset taxable income. Certainly, this company has been seeing significant revenue growth, with margins rising over 30% for the third quarter in a row, being that they are also heavily involved in their grid tech solutions segment of their business for power grid solutions and data centers, in addition to U.S. Navy ship protection systems. The company has built up a 250 million plus 12-month backlog. So this one was really interesting to me because it looks like they're starting to turn towards profitability, and they are. The grid tech solutions was really interesting because they are effectively used for building data centers. So I think this is a real interesting company. There was another one I was also looking at, that Sunbelt one. Those two I was looking at were really interesting to me. But AMSC, I don't know if Jay, if you've ever heard of that one, but let me know if you've got anything on it.
Real quick here, I'll go to GXAI here, but SE, I just saw a whole bunch of repeat sweeps at the 80 calls that expire in April. This looks like a big order broken down into multiple legs. We're talking probably almost 1,000 contracts here. So SE, there was one contract held open at that April 80 strike. There is 2,445 contracts worth of volume. So there is some action here on SE. This is after a 24.75% pullback, April 80s. Let me go to GXAI here, which you guys are mentioning. I'm assuming it's moving here through the VWAP. We're right at that VWAP. It is indeed trying to go through it and push away from it.
Alpha. So yes, 90. It's a significant amount. I think you're right. About 90% of Iranian oil goes to China. I'm just talking about the oil that goes through the Strait of Hormuz. 40 to 50% of all the total amount of imported oil that China gets goes through that strait. So that's and yeah, a lot of it is Iranian, but it's also Qatari from the United Arab Emirates. It's from Iraq. It's from Saudi Arabia. It's from Bahrain. It's from all those places that are in that strait. And they also, there also has Russian pipelines, but that's gonna. So here's the thing: this is going to increase crude prices globally, and this is still going to make it expensive for China because it's going to increase Russian oil as well. And Russia's going to, be happy about that because they need the extra revenue, but it's going to be short-lived. And they still have a lot of building to do if they're going to get it all from Russia, which they're not right now. So I think, they do have a significant amount coming from Russia, but even still, with a disruption like this in the Strait of Hormuz, it could seriously hammer their economy in a time where they do not need it. I mean, China's economy is in trouble.
Been saying it for a while. GXAI is still holding at that VWAP. Really cannot break from this. Jay mentioning that Astis post earnings is holding up. That's ASTS. That actually is. How's Target holding up? That also reported earnings here today. Still up by 2.5%.
Yeah, and then we also
Best Buy also reported earnings. They're giving most of it back. They're still up 4%.
And then we also have Dollar General reporting later this month on the 12th. I'm about ready to be done with this one too. I don't know that I want to be.
Oh, TMDE. Good mention. For those of you that are going off, registering on TMDE.
All right. What does the intraday chart look like on this one?
That was a nice break through that triangle there too. Nice push away from the VWAP after we consolidated around it for a bit. Pretty panda.
Right to the pre-market highs from yesterday.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, 670 trying to hold here. We'll see if we kick that away. We had let me remind myself where that 200 was. I think 254. Let me just make sure I'm getting that right here real fast. Boop. So 255 or 655, excuse me.
ZD went to the trend line. It's not able to get over it, but the price hit it.
667 would be another support area here. Let me go back. You said ZD, right?
Yep. Right to our trend line.
I must have drawn it a little janky because I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah, 740 high.
It's like, yeah, you did.
And 820 high.
There we go. I just needed to adjust it a tick. Lion going from free fall to we may rebound in the afternoon. Blink and you might miss some of the changes in this market. But that's actually a good mention because that might give you a tradable setup. And you can wait out this instead of forcing yourself into something that's not going to work.
At the very least, I would think that if not today, tomorrow we try and recapture some of these levels that we were getting as support. Like if we turn around tomorrow and try to come back up, I'm thinking there's going to be resistance at 676.
Okay.
In that handle. That's been the support all year so far. 676 to 680, that whole area. Every time that we get a downturn, buyers down there are able to pick it up.
Here we are.
And then
we have it marked off.
There's going to be one day where buying the dip doesn't work. We've talked about this at length in Happy Hour.
Sure have.
I'm wondering if this is going to be one of the earliest signs. So not making any calls yet, but let's just see what we get tomorrow. If we are trying to come back up, retake 672, and we get rejected, might be seeing the early signs of buying the dip not working.
I saw some folks on X this morning saying, "How are the dip buyers feeling?" I'm wondering if this is going to keep getting worse, or maybe that might have been an early victory. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. ZD definitely at that trend line now. At this point, I think probably test 50 here.
Yeah, MACD is indicating that the momentum is still trying to shift positive. We'll see if we get a breakout. Now, if we do break over this trend line, we start moving up. Bulls are going to want to see a back test of this trend line hold up. Because if we get that, then we could certainly go higher.
Take care of yourself, Judge.
Take care, Judge.
Love the positivity. You are a G.
Yeah, for searching for a bottom here with this, I agree with you, Lion. Look for the good companies.
Yep, absolutely. And there's you don't need to. I really don't feel as if you need to rush too. You can be patient. You can be patient here.
And I know I talk about it a lot, but I'm still not seeing a major downside from Microsoft. If anything, we're still going sideways. we've held up from yesterday's open. We're still kind of holding up here. We're just not having a good time with the 20-day SMA. That's been the resistance area we've been dealing with since last week. But it's not breaking down. It's holding up here. So if this continues, I think we'll recapture 400 and start trading better. But let's just be patient.
Dara's asking, how do you feel about bull? I'll be honest. Given what Bitcoin is doing, I suspect that you're probably not going to get a meaningful turnaround here in bull until Bitcoin starts to trade a little bit better. Look at what the chart looked like yesterday. Look at the intraday chart from bull yesterday, when we had Bitcoin showing us risk on. Today we have Bitcoin showing us risk off, and it is still showing us this. Look at the chart here for bull. And I don't know, Brian here saying it's a crap platform. 13, I go to your judgment there because I've never used the product, so I have no firsthand experience.
I don't think it's the greatest platform. I don't think it's the worst. There's your answer.
So somewhere there in the middle.
Yeah. We did have this okay, so the last earnings that we had, we went on a bit of a rally. As a matter of fact, what was that day? I think I measured this once already. Last earnings were November 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what did the price action do as a result of the earnings from that day? The very next day we opened, we lost 8 and then recaptured it, and we went higher. We actually went, if we just use the open from that day following earnings, we went on a 25% rally, and then we sold off and we ended up coming down here. Now, part of me thinks that because we've been hammered down into these earnings that we're going to get another maybe short-term upside, or we might be bottoming. I feel like this might be an opportunity where the earnings report may be good enough to where it pulls it back up, but I'm still not a buyer of this because I don't want to be buying this ahead of earnings. I don't know how great it's going to be. This is now Chinese owned, and Bitcoin is still weak. So I don't know how great this is going to be. But if this does end up recapturing the 20-day SMA following their earnings, then we may end up seeing a bit of a rally in the short term.
Okay, Wiss here saying bull has been blocking buys for a lot of stocks from what I've read. I've heard the same thing, Wiss. It's very much akin to what we discuss with Charles Schwab here, some of those higher risky stocks. All right, 13, we're out of time already here today. Any closing words for the group before we bring on Anne-Marie?
Folks, this volatility really does present a lot of opportunities. So as long as we keep our heads straight and our discipline robust, we're going to be doing just fine. We're going to see a lot of wild price actions. We're going to see a lot of crazy things happen. Let's just maintain our discipline. We'll be just fine. So love to see what we're going to get from Anne-Marie today. Stick around. She's wonderful. Have a good rest of your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, everybody.
13, take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Really good stuff again here today. 13's departure leaves room for Anne-Marie. Let's check in with her. Anne-Marie, how you doing? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday to you. How are you?
I'm doing all right, but sure looks like we got a risk off day here. What say you?
Yeah, it's been
Look
a
at
while.
that heat map.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen a heat map this red. Interestingly, these are holding, right? Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. That's kind of interesting that they're piling in.
Just to the right there, is that a green Costco square that I see?
It is.
About
it
that.
is. And of course, Target Energy giving back a little bit, but this business with the Strait of Hormuz, the main reason that strait is actually closed is not because the Iranians have said, hey, we're closing the strait. It's because the insurance companies have said, yeah, you want to go through, you better pay this premium. And it's very high. So far, Maersk, however they say that, Maersk, because, it's kind of a Dutch name or whatever, they are saying, hey, we're not letting any of our containers go. And so it's not so much of a physical blockade as a business blockade because it's become cost prohibitive. So,
13 mentioning here that insurance companies have actually canceled some of their policies to go along with what you're saying.
Yeah, very significant. So it's I actually talked about this a couple of days ago with the Benzinga group. I said, hey, here's how oil could stop flowing. And I went through this exact thing. And then so they got that before you if you're not on the Benzinga Pro platform.
There you go.
All right.
As if you needed another reason to be a part of our community. There you have it.
All right. So we had a lot of names. Do you want to start with CrowdStrike? Because
yeah, I think so. I think that's probably our big dog here for today.
Yeah. So let's do two things. Let's first look at a weekly formation. And this is very interesting. So CrowdStrike, over the last 1, 2, 3, here are earnings again. Over the last 3 earnings events, they really have not held their bounces. And so they're moving back inside of this range. And this earnings event from March of 2025 is now the event to watch. So 2 things we could think about. One, is this the environment that stocks are going to be rewarded well for amazing performance if they have high institutional ownership? So if you could check that for CrowdStrike for me on the Benzinga Pro platform.
Institutional ownership?
Yes, please. The percentage of institutional ownership. That'll give us
73.55%.
Okay, so that's not a ton, relatively speaking. And so retail could actually move this a little bit. My suspicion is that every bounce is a sell zone. Thinking as the trader who said, you know what, CrowdStrike is going to really pay off for me. And so let's say you bought it after 2 earnings ago here, and now you're coming into the next earnings and you're like, what? I'm flat. And if you bought it in this earnings event, you're thinking to yourself, oh, I'm flat. And then these guys are underwater. And so this kind of motion, easily we could dip down into the baseline of the edge here. Now, how well is CrowdStrike doing? How well will they suggest forward guidance? You know, when don't we need cybersecurity these days? So the question is, are they positioned to do that? Now, let's take a look at the options. Are very expensive. Notice the cream colored line is the average percentage. It is, these options are the most expensive they've been in a while. And so we might want to look for selling premium here. They're trying to put a bottom in. So let's see what they're pricing in. If we take a look at the quick strike trade, the earnings trade has 109% implied vol. Again, very expensive. So let's see what they've positioned. About $30 of a move, give or take, maybe $31. Up here, the market makers move puts it at 26, but clearly the pricing is at this level. And that's over 30. Even for the theoretical values of 1422 and 1575, that's at 30. So market makers a little light on that edge in terms of the actual move that might be priced in. So let's think about that. Let's think about if that pricing is in there, what it actually means. So we could go $30 lower, and that would be 340 and some change. If they're right, we can have ourselves, you could do 347 to 340 for $1.23 with $750 pure upside. So it'd be about $600 if that worked out. And then 30 this way would be 407. But this is where the volume is at 400. That seems reasonable. 400 seems reasonable. You could have a tight butterfly. Yeah, probably better to have a wider butterfly there. So I would say do the 405, 415, 425. That's $1.16. The call side gives you $1,000 of exposure, so almost 10 to 1. So 9 to 1 looks pretty good. If you're thinking, hey, that's a lot of vol to be buying, I would say, you know what? I totally agree. Consider the 420 to 430 and the 340 to 330. That barely gets us enough for an iron condor for the week. That's the quick strike trade if you're looking at that. For me, I would rather go down into March. Let's see what, maybe this is the wrong one. Let's go over here and let me see if I have my seasonality things in here. Is that the right one? No, it's this one. Add selected. So we'll do one for 5 years. We'll do one for 10 years. Okay. And then let's see what it gives us. Change that color so that we know what is what. So that Intuit trade was so good. I just did not hold it long enough. CrowdStrike.
Part of the game. Oh, I thought you were going to say crudsicles there. I was like,
Yes, it is. It was a crudsicle moment.
Did you like that some of your one-liners are being reused?
I love it. I feel like I belong.
You absolutely belong.
Good. It feels good. So CrowdStrike has got itself a little bit of upward flow into this space. Where could it bounce? Easily to the top of these ranges here, 410, 415. So in my mind, it's better to go into March. And if we have the top end, they are not even calling for that. There's nobody there hardly. 415 to 420, this would give us a $500 spread. And then the same 340 to 335 for just 17 days. It gives us almost the same amount with a whole lot less pressure. This one is $500 of risk. This one's $1,000 of risk. So I would definitely sit there to take a look at the trade if we're staring that down. And you could go 10 wide, 340 to 330. You probably get half the size of the spread simply because the options are so expensive right now, half the size of the spread. When option volatility, this is a great test for option volatility. if you want this indicator, I am very happy if you use Thinkorswim, implied vol. I am very happy to share it with the group. I will put it in the chat box here and use it at your leisure. You can, but when vol is this expensive, you want to try to find something to sell. And it is very expensive right now. They're calling for $30 in the spread, 31. We've gone down into that area, going down $40, and then doing the same to the upside a little, coming in at that 415, 425 area. So looks pretty good to me in terms of sideways pressure. Directionally, because they're so expensive, I just wouldn't do it, especially for the 6th. Right? You might think to yourself, 350. You might say 320 on the 20th. You might do that if you are thinking, hey, I think it's going to move down. Or, wow, that moved to 45 cents. Isn't that crazy? This one, whoa, that's a credit of 67 cents. You might get it for a penny, though. If it turns out that they're
those are my favorite.
Yeah, try to get that one for a penny. I mean, what does Bruce Arians used to say? No risk it for the biscuit. Is that right?
Is that an Arians? I mean, the risk it for the biscuit, I've heard a whole bunch, but I didn't realize that was attributed to Arians.
He used to say it all the time. No risk it for the biscuit. Anyways, yeah, I think these are not bad. Of course, it did take me 15 minutes to go over one chart. Good grief.
But that's okay, because this is the big dog reporting earnings here tonight. So I think that was worth it.
All right.
No risk it, no biscuit was the Arians quote, by the way.
Thank you very much. Of course, I knew I would get that wrong. All right. What's next?
That's a good question. All right. I had asked the group earlier, let us know what it is that you want to take a look at. I can throw up the option, excuse me, the earnings chart again. But if you want, we can also do some of the oil names.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do Chevron. I think they are the most well positioned at this juncture. So let's talk about it.
And then I think maybe we can do RTX next. That's another suggestion here from JD in the chat.
Structure. Yes, the war complex. That's already, we talked about this maybe about a month and a half ago. I said, hey, war rallies. And, unfortunately, we are where we are. So let's take a peek at Chevron. Now, notice this. This is a 3-year chart. Chevron has essentially been in the same pocket for 3 years. Actually, if we widen it out, it's probably, 3 years ago, we broke out and held 130. Now we're breaking out of that structure. Measured move tells me we have $30 to the upside. Well, we're kind of almost there, right? So let's take a peek. Here's our measured move, about $30. We want to duplicate it, move it to the upside, and it gives us that big round number at 200. So certainly these guys are going to move. Here's the thing. I see so many people down on oil and the like. We got to have energy. We have too much regulation for nuclear power to come into play. So we got to get that worked out. We've got some stuff with nat gas, but that's a derivative of the oil coming out of the ground. And there's a lot of capital expenditures that these guys have not done simply because, everybody wants to throw paint on the oil guy, right? Because, it's like the girls that wear the real fur. Let's just throw some paint on them. So I listen, I wear fur. Anytime I see those things, I go, no, because it's a horrible event.
I was going to say, I am very, very fortunate that I haven't seen any of these events in real life. I might not be sitting where I'm at because I don't tolerate behavior like that.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrendous. So in any case, 200 looks like a pretty nice event into, they don't have earnings until May, but I think this is going to have a little bit of a war rally. Now, the question is, how do you want to trade it? How do you want to trade it? Does it have a lift? Yes, I think that lift is probably from 165. So because time is going to be our friend when the markets are in this sort of atrocious price action, we really have to think about things in terms of where can I either sell premium or buy something that's very, very cheap. And so if you're staring that down and you go, okay, what's cheap? You could look at a put spread options, expensive again, huge percentiles all the way up the top. Everything's going to be like that because vol has exploded because of market uncertainty. Mm-hmm. So we are going to see that. It's a good place to sell vol over the long term, not the short term, because we have no idea what's actually going to happen. So again, this is a long-term trade. You could sell those 135s, bottom of the range. Doesn't give you much. Where did I go? Here we go. 64 cents. If you are someone that says, you know what, I would take that stock if it got put to me. If I got it at 135, I'd get it maybe at 134. And that is a massive support zone. My thought is that really it's going to hold 168. But if you don't care about paying $30 extra, you will get another 60 cents off of the top of that. For me, it's not worth that risk for doing that. But if you're saying to yourself, how can I play this? The butterfly is ideal. You want it to be $20 wide. So it's going to be a little bit expensive, but if you're thinking about oil and its potential move to the upside, $3 for $2,000 of upside is $295 for $2,000 of upside is a very nice risk to reward event. Very, very nice risk to reward event. These are the spaces where as prices pull in, and I don't know if it was Lion or Jay or whomever said it, but what you want to think about is way down the road, way cheap, and don't just do a leap call, do a leap spread so that theta works in your favor. It eats up some of that time decay, and you still have your long option to sit around and help you to the upside. Just people that go straight out buying the leaps and don't use a little bit of premium to help them out, I mean, you're really taking a lot of portfolio upside away from yourself because some of those leaps can get pretty expensive.
Okay. All right. That sounds like Lion, by the way, but I'll let him confirm. RTX?
All right. Let's go.
RTX, by the way, $268 billion backlog. nearly at market cap in backlog, Anne-Marie.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so we know these guys are the war machine. And look at this. It's just been building ever since mid 2025. That was the Iran-Israel event.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that really started rising, and it has not given back anything. This is another one. When will they report? So they've got about a month. Vol is high. Got to pop in earnings whispers and see, earnings watcher and see if it has an IV rush into earnings.
Mm-hmm.
But for this one, again, it looks pretty good. Let's say you've got, let's use this candle because it's got a lot of motion. This is the 1X, puts it right here. So if we did it again, it'd be calling about 225 to 235. That might not be a bad idea to say, hey, it's into April. What is the date of that earnings event again? 420. Okay, so you'd really want to go, if you wanted to take it off before earnings, but the expectation is that it would run into earnings, look at all of this. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's exactly what we want to see. So we can do the 230, 240, 250. It's 90 cents. Or if you're looking for something that's going to give you higher probabilities of being in the range, you could go 220 to 240 to 260. It is more expensive, but it's also giving you a much wider area where you can be right and make money. So, there's always a string, and the little bead says reward,
Mm-hmm.
and then the edges say risk. So if you want more reward, you're going to get more risk. If you want less reward, you're going to take less risk. And that bead, there's, never all win. But you can see the delta is almost triple because this butterfly is wider and it gives you more chance to be right.
Okay. All right. Really good. Yeah. Everything in life is a trade-off. There is no such thing as a free lunch. I guess the universe is the only free lunch, quoting Stephen Hawking. But that's another story. Real quick, I have one tactical question here from the group that I want to ask you. Comes from Jay Rice. Anne-Marie, what I like to do when buying leap directionals is that I don't spread them, but sell short-dated out-of-the-money premium and keep rolling them. Do you have any thoughts on this?
I love that. I love that.
Oh.
That is your basic calendar wheel. Where you have the leap all the way in the future, and then you're selling the premium against it as time goes on. The one thing that traders, if they did this, they'd really do better with their portfolios, is selling that premium against what it is that they have sitting. Of course, you're going to have to not check out mentally. If you're the kind that looks every quarter, you're probably not going to be in this room.
Yeah, I can confirm Jay's not the one that checks out mentally, so he's all right.
So yeah, that is a fantastic way to do it. I love that.
Okay, Lion agrees too. Boy, you got a really good blessing there on that strategy. We got Lion, Jay, and Anne-Marie all aligned. Giddy up, as we like to say. Giddy up. Okay, Anne-Marie, that's really good stuff. We got less than 3 minutes here, so I think we can probably wrap it here. Unless you have any closing thoughts on anything.
I would say consider an iron condor for target. It has not been out of its price range there for many moons. It's really been sitting in this pocket for a while, and I would not expect it to break 125. And if you're looking for something that's actually green today, service now around 100 is not bad, but you're really going to have to watch things. I expect us to have very messy price action for the rest of the week.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and maybe just kind of dialing it back also makes sense. Okay, Anne-Marie, really good stuff as always, much appreciated. We're going to see you on Friday, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Have a good one. Until then, we'll check in with you on Friday. We'll set up some new trades. Folks, that is Anne-Marie. Really good stuff, really good questions, really good suggestions as well. And another really good day, even in a sea of red here. Does look like the SPY so far has held 670. We'll check in again on this tomorrow. Folks, have a great rest of your Tuesday. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.